Welcome back to another edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Oh, we got a jam-packed show for you. Talking to plenty of NFL Combine. The big boys, they are out and about on the field. They're conducting the on-field drills for linebackers and D linemen. We'll get into some of those updates. We'll talk about the L that Texas men's basketball took to the TCU Horned Frogs last night. Also to Short Choice making a choice to decide to stay here on the 40 acres. Apparently, he was offered a great job opportunity and decided the 40 acres was a better place. The grass wasn't that greener. We'll get into that. Also, DeMarvion Overshown meeting with the Dallas Cowboys, the Bijan Robinson odds, and Mike McCarthy speaking out about Kellen Moore. We'll get into all that and more. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, but a first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but it's up to go the 40 acres and chase his dream in the cheese. Pimping ain't easy, but for this man, it's a breeze. Mike Hardball Hards. What's going on, brother?
What it do? We're right here. What is this, new theme Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie? We're going to find out what that theme's going to be, but I know one of the themes needs to be, what are we going to do with our Texas basketball team? But we'll get all into that in just a little bit. But let me tell you about my man that sits across from me. He hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary lifetime, now college football Hall of Famer legend. Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study, but he's not a fan of white condiments. But, of course, he is a fan of you, the listeners. He is my man and yours, Rod Babers.
Thanks for the intro. Let's not waste any time introducing the real MVP, the Idealionaire, one of the hardest working members of the AARN family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid. We damn sure that he's underpaid. Patrick Davis. How you doing, Patrick?
Oh, it's Combine Day.
It is Combine Day. Yeah, that's right, because officially you got the big boys on the field. So we'll get to that. 2 Longhorns, actually 3 Longhorns working out. They're invited to the Combine. You got Keandre Coburn, Moro Ojimo, and, of course, DeMarvion Overshown. So we'll get to some of those updates coming up here later on. Also, we'll get to some other Longhorn football news, notes, and nuggets because we'll talk about to Short Choice, Horns 24/7 reporting that he was given an opportunity to lead the 40 acres for what could have been greener pastures, and maybe, I don't know, grass could have been greener, and the cash could have been greener too.
Hello.
We don't really know, but he decided to stay here on the 40 acres as their running back coach. So we'll get to that coming up here a little bit later on in this segment. In the top of the 4 o'clock, DeMarvion Overshown meeting with your Dallas Cowboys, Harge. So apparently the Cowboys like them some DeMarvion Overshown. We'll talk about why that is the case. You can be a part of the show. You're the most important part of it. On the Specs text line 512-337-3776. You're the heartbeat of this thing, so hit us up there, or you can hit us up via Twitter. Hardball Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis, and I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. All right, I'm sorry we got to start the show on a bit of a low. And that would be the L taken by Texas basketball last night, gentlemen. And it's not just taking the L. Listen, losing on the road in the Big 12, there ain't no shame in that. There ain't no shame in that. To me, though, as a Texas basketball fan, for this to be the first time, all season they've lost back-to-back games, and like I said, so that's first time that's a little bit, that's a little troubling. Just a little because it's happening in March.
Yes, not supposed to happen.
Happens in the start of March. It went all year long without having back-to-back losses. And you're talking about now, March has hit, and boom, that's when it hits. They actually have back-to-back losses. But what's more concerning is the one issue they got, and there are a few issues that have become almost character flaws of this team throughout the season. And we probably could sit here and list them, the 3 or 4 there are. They're flaws, but not necessarily. I didn't think they were Shakespearean flaws, meaning they were fatal flaws that ultimately would doom this team. I thought they could overcome those. That slow, lethargic, lackadaisical start on the road in the Big 12, the lack of urgency.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, it's tough to even fathom how they could lack that intensity to start the game. Now, to close out the ball game, they were great in the second half. They did a really good job defensively, fought back in, and made it a one-possession game after being down, I think, by the most at 16, I believe, was the biggest lead that TCU had in the first half at one point. But man, it was that to me. I don't know how that happens when there's so much on the line. You have a chance to win or to get a share, I should say, of the regular season Big 12 title for the first time since 2008, and it's the Big 12.
Hello,
you're on the road anyway in the Big 12, where all season long you've been an average to below average team, but in the Big 12 it's really tough to win on the road, and yet. Man, you did yourself no favors by digging a hole, a deficit of 16 points and having to fight back in that game on the road. And they ultimately couldn't do it, 75-73, so they brought it really close. Like I said, it was a one-possession game multiple times in the second half. But Texas, ultimately, one of the things that has become, like I said, a character flaw of this team, slow starts, came back to haunt them once again, Hunch.
well, as you talked about, Rod, and we're going to continue to look at this and try to break it all down and try to find the answers, as we like to say, to the cause of the problem. There's so many things that we can touch on, and this is something that I've been talking about since day one. It's the lack of movement off the ball. It is so bad that the entire time you're watching that game and you're seeing people stand around again on the offensive side of the game. And it's so frustrating. And Patrick brought this up a couple of weeks ago where it's like everybody's waiting for Marcus Carr to do something. We're beyond that now. We're way past that. We're at the end of the season. That stuff should have been rectified a long time ago. But it reared its ugly head again. And at this point in the season, Marcus Carr is tired. He is completely done. He needs rest. He needs a lot of rest. But what do? We play him 31 minutes again. We play him again. And he's short on his shots. And this is something I asked all of you the other day. I was like, is he tired? He looks like he's tired. And he tries to fake it, right? You try that false hustle on the court. And it's like, bro, I can tell your legs are gone because of the way your lateral movement is not what it is. And then your vertical movement is not there. You're shooting the ball now on your way down when before you were shooting it on your way up. It just looks like they are waiting for him to be the miracle worker. They have other people that can play, but the problem is they're not executing an offense. I was talking to a buddy of mine at lunch, and I was like, it just doesn't look like there is an offense. We keep thinking there is because they're scoring points, but there's really no offense that is being run. And it's frustrating because you're losing the games the same way. You're losing every single game. You're coming out lethargic, as you said at the very beginning. Texas never led in this basketball game. They have never led in this basketball game. They held a lead. TCU held a lead for 39 minutes and 53 seconds. And the only reason why they didn't have it the whole time because they were tied 0-0 in the first 7 seconds of the game. That's it. And it's frustrating because of what you hit the nail on right there. It's March. This is where we're supposed to be. It's ready.
It's money time. It's money time.
And I heard B&E talking about it this morning on B&E, Bucky and Aaron. I was like, maybe they're right. Maybe they shouldn't try to go win the Big 12 tournament. Maybe they should go and rest because their bodies, and I know we got all the new scientists and all the new things to recover. They're not recovering, especially Marcus. It does not look like Marcus Carr is the same guy that we saw at the very beginning of the year. It actually looks like he's getting more frustrated down the stretch. That's what I'm gathering right now.
Yeah, but of course he's frustrated. I mean, everybody is playing him as the number one player on the team right now. We saw last night that game was extremely physical. Some say they should have called way more fouls on TCU, but they didn't. Right. And so the game was just really, really physical. You're getting bumped around the whole time. I mean, the problem is there's not the depth on this team where Marcus Carr can take a rest.
Yeah.
I mean, we're at the point of the season where it would be nice. It would be nice for a lot of things. It would be nice if Tyrese Hunter was shooting 45% from three. It would be nice if we could rest Marcus Carr a little bit. It'd be nice, but I can tell you, going to Kansas City and dropping the first game on purpose by resting your players and coming home early isn't helping you because you're have a decent shot to lose on Saturday. You're 50-50 on Saturday at best because you're playing a really good Kansas team. So, I mean, you're probably the underdog in this game anyway. Now, you have to go in that. Do you really want to have a possibility of dropping 4 in a row to hopefully rest our guys for a couple extra days? You're still going to practice because you've been playing awful.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing. As awful as they played against TCU, a couple of those shots fall. A couple of shots that shouldn't have gone for TCU don't. Texas wins that game. They don't call a bogus technical foul on Rodney Terry. Like, there's all these things that are, like, as bad as Texas played, they were still in this game, which shows you that they're a good enough team to win. They just have to get over these little things, and you have to hope that the breaks don't come of just them shooting so good in the first half that even when you're playing decent defense, it doesn't do anything. And then you projected, hey, man, they're not a good three-point shooting team, so we're going to try and protect the inside and let them shoot. Then they shoot lights out from behind the arc. So,
I wouldn't have thought they would keep doing that, though. You know what I'm saying? I would have taken my chances of letting them keep doing that.
No, I agree. I would have thought going into the game that they wouldn't hit that, but yeah, they did.
No, I mean, and then again, you just have to have more effort up front. Like, I get, and we're saying that they're tired at the end, so it's hard to say they need more effort up front. But in that first half, there was a point with about 2 minutes left in the first half where I looked up and TCU had missed 9 shots, and they had 7 offensive rebounds.
Yep.
That's absurd to go, oh, so 2 of those maybe didn't go, like 2 of those shots where shots went up, you guys didn't score. Now, there was turnovers. They had turnovers, so Texas was getting the ball back and playing defense. But you have to be able to get offense. You have to be able to get defensive rebounds because when you're allowing a team to shoot that high percentage and let them offensive rebound,
yep,
it's just you're building that hole that then you're going to have to try and come back, and that's how you have weak knees in the fourth quarter is because you've been playing from behind the whole game.
I thought it was women that weaken our knees.
You know what?
Women weaken legs. They do. Boys to Men also reinforce that. Anyway, but no, getting back to Patrick's point, one thing that did happen in the last game versus Baylor, but also in this game, they forced a ton of turnovers.
Yeah.
They forced 22 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they actually did get points. I think last game they had 21 forced turnovers versus Baylor, and then they ended up with only 16 points off those turnovers. I believe in this game they're at 27 points off of those turnovers, so a little bit better. But, Patrick's right. They kept getting the ball back, but they just couldn't do much with it until the second half, on the first half here. And it seems like all the issues, not all of them, some of the glaring issues with this basketball team in this matchup versus TCU and at the wrong time. Like I said, it's at the start of March, which this is college basketball's month. The NFL is going to steal a little bit of it, like a week of it with the combine, but otherwise, this is when we talk college basketball. All of their issues were exacerbated.
Yeah.
It seemed like the slow start. They did not beat TCU in any statistical category in the first half. Not one. One. You can not one. Field goal percentage, fast break points, 3-point percentage, rebounding, defense, offense, second chance. I mean, you can name every one you want to try to name. They didn't beat them in one. It was wild to see that. And it just shows you kind of lack of focus. But that's been an issue for Texas all year long. You thought it would start to remedy itself via coaching or via the players, leadership, whatever, by March.
Yep.
And the rebounding thing, which Patrick has been wailing on all season long, how bad they are rebounding. It was just that disparity was mind-blowing. I mean, it was stupefying to watch that. It was like even Jeff Howard, the guards. Even the guards were
out hustling for the ball. That's because they wanted it more.
Yeah.
That's what it came down to. There weren't nobody fighting. I saw Dylan Dessou try to fight a little bit. He was in there trying to get physical, but he was getting pushed around near the end of the game. I mean, the entire time you sit here, they got 16 points off of second chance buckets. That's the one thing that we left here saying yesterday. They can't do that. They can't let that happen. And you look at the score, and it ended up being a 2-point game, but it really wasn't that close. They threw that shot up at the end. That's the only reason why people were losing their mind, because of the cover as well. They lost that because they had at the end, it was TCU +3. And now they hit that shot, just throwing it up at the end. Didn't even matter. They're like, no.
Yes, it does.
Depending on what side you were on, right? But you sit there and you look at it and you say, okay, what can Texas do better? What do they need to do heading into this tournament? I agree with some of what you said, Patrick, about going in there and being on a losing streak. Just win this weekend. Go and beat Kansas this weekend. Kansas doesn't have anything to play for anymore. They're still trying to figure it out. I mean, they already won the conference, so they're going to move on. They probably, I don't know, they may want to win the Big 12 championship in the tournament. They may not. But if he wants to rest his players, this is the time for Bill Self to rest his players too. So if Texas can go out there and win this game and then go into the tournament, and I'm not saying go in there and tank. We're not tanking for anything. You need to be playing better. But if you just happen to lose a game, go home and get some rest, man, because the run starts here pretty soon. It's the time for him to look at his team and look at these guys, because this may be the last shot that you have. Some of you are a lot older than what we expect. What have we been saying the entire time? This is a senior guard lineup. This is when you go and play in the tournament and you expect your guards to be better. We still don't know what we're going to get from Tyrese Hunter. We still don't know.
You know what? Strangely enough, Tyrese Hunter is starting to play better basketball.
He's playing aggressively.
He's playing aggressively. He's
Yes.
starting to play better basketball. And Marcus Carr, because I think it's more fatigue than anything.
Yep.
And fatigue, and defenders have a pretty accurate scouting report, and there's a lot of attention paid to Marcus Carr because they know how crucial and integral he is to the offensive identity for Texas. That he is now starting to become more and more inefficient and ineffective offensively. So you need all three of your guards. All right, your star guards, Jabari Rice, Marcus Carr, and also Tyrese Hunter to be playing really well in March, and it seems like it's going to end up being two of the three.
You ain't
Can't get all three. Nope, they're not going to happen that way. Yeah, so it's really, for Texas basketball fans, it's unfortunate because, like I said, it's a lot of the same issues. The scoring droughts that have come, but I don't know if that was so much as just the first half. They didn't show up.
Right.
Texas didn't show up in the first half. In the second half, they were great. In the second half, Texas held TCU to under 20% from three-point range, under 30% from the field.
That goes back to my point.
So they really focused in the second half.
That goes back to my point about them shooting the threes in the first half. I wasn't worried about them shooting the threes in the first half as the second half, and that's exactly what happened. If you let them keep shooting them, they're going to shoot themselves out of the game. To your point, Texas still had an opportunity to win that because they were shooting so bad. 4 of 13 in the second half from three-point, 8 of 22 total in the game. Well, that was Texas, excuse me. Texas they were 4 of 8 in the first half and 1 of 5 in the second half and 5 of 13 for the game, TCU. So I'm like, go ahead, keep shooting them. It always happens. Somebody shoots a couple and it's like, they getting hot from the outside. Then all of a sudden they become back to themselves.
Yeah.
They came back to themselves. So, but the other part of it was the free throw shooting again, to your point.
Again.
They attempted 19 free throws. Texas did. TCU made 18.
Yeah, you was right there.
I'm like,
no, but that goes into Texas needs to have game plans for bad officials, because there's been a few games where they've had really bad officiating. Last night was really bad officiating.
No doubt.
And not one way or the other. They would just call 4 fouls on a team in 25 seconds and then not call anything for another 5 minutes.
So you can't
I'm not saying they were like, hey, man, they're homers for TCU. They were just bad officiating last night.
Yeah.
Both ways. They just didn't call a consistent game whatsoever. And then called a technical on Rodney Terry for showing him up because he was calling a bad game. So it's just all around bad.
Actually, Rodney was yelling at him because they had 6 people on the floor.
He also there was a moving screen that he didn't call.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things where he was yelling at him, and then when he went over, he goes, "Why'd I get a technical?" And he goes, "You're showing me up." And he goes, "Really? That's why I got a technical? You're showing me up?
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, is this third grade?"
Yeah.
We're playing college basketball. You blew a call. You blew 2 calls in a row.
Big calls.
And I'm telling you did, because I need you to make them up for me because we're losing.
Yep.
So, all of that happens, but you have to be able to be prepared to play through that.
Yep.
And Texas was just getting bumped on the perimeter a lot. And when you realize that's happening, then you have to go create more contact, because they're not going to call the small contact. So you can't keep looking at the official for a little bit of contact. Go create a lot of contact. Get the guy 2 or 3 fouls, because once he has 3 fouls, he can't play bump defense anymore.
Yep.
He has to step back. So you have to play that type of way, and they just didn't want to create the contact. And I get you're going to get hammered sometimes, and there were some times that they did get hammered and didn't call anything too. You just have to keep doing it. I know it sucks, it hurts, it takes a lot of energy to do. But if they are going to call a game in a way of, hey, man, like we're going to let them bump you around, we're going to let them do that, you have to be able to go, we're not going to let them shoot more free throws than us.
Yep.
So if they're shooting free throws on one end and we're getting hands, we need to go full body and then put our hands where their arms are, and their arms will come down and hit us.
I love your point earlier you made though about, and this just happens in football too. It really does. I remember the conversations in football on the sideline. I'm sure baseball hearts for you is the same thing. When you get an officiating crew, because usually officials call a game a certain way. They're going to call it tight. They're going to let you play, call it loose, whatever, and you get the feel of it. About a quarter through the game, about a third through the game, okay, I know how to play this game. I get it.
Yep.
They're gonna let me put my hands on the receivers. They're gonna let us play today. All right, they're gonna let us play through contact and fight for the football. I like that. Sometimes you get officiating crews who are like, no, we're allowing no contact at the 5 yards. Don't touch him.
Right.
They'll call holding on you at 7 yards. They'll call pass interference on you real easily. Like, oh, man, I was trying to fight for the ball. Like, no. Don't touch that receiver. And you get it. You're like, okay, I get it.
Yep.
I just need to know what the consistent theme is going to be, basically, or whatever, or how you're going to call the calls, but whatever. Just do it consistently.
Yeah.
Bad, whatever, just so I can adjust my game.
Yeah.
And what Patrick, I think you're saying is the officials never gave you a chance to adjust your game or to the pattern of officiating, whatever it was.
No.
They kept changing it up.
Well, no, because they basically
yeah.
It's that basic, hey, man, we're seeing too many fouls. Let's call a bunch of them in a row so that they'll get them to stop fouling. Like, that works. And it doesn't work. And so then they keep fouling, but they're like, well, they have 5 fouls and, like, we have 16 minutes to go in the half.
Yep.
So we can't keep calling fouls at this rate. So we have to stop. But instead of then making it even, they just go, well, swallow your whistles. We called 5 fouls too quick. So now let's swallow the whistles for the next 5 minutes. So it doesn't matter if they're grabbing or pulling or knocking somebody over.
That's too inconsistent.
It's a horrible way to officiate a game.
You either emphasize certain calls or emphasize certain things. That's what you do. You emphasize
exactly.
and de-emphasize.
And again, this was both ways. It wasn't like one way. Now, the TCU having 6 men on the field and the 6 man on the court, you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that.
But TCU is going to be a more physical team. That's just what they do. So they're going to play, and it looks like it's worse because we're getting beat up doing
and
it.
And because Texas is smaller.
Yeah. So, like, it looks worse, but in reality, they're calling it weird both ways because I think in the second half, in the first or second half, Texas had them in the penalty with like 14 minutes left.
Early, yes.
And so, like, there was a point where you can't say, hey, man, they're not helping you because they just put them in the penalty with 14 minutes left.
Yeah.
However, then they stopped calling anything because they realized they put them in the penalty with 14 minutes. That's the problem is.
And you still didn't take advantage of it, though. That's the part that bothers me. If you got a team in the penalty that early, why are you shooting jump shots?
That's Patrick's point. It's like be aggressive.
I mean, like you have to get there.
Adjust to the officiating, the climate of officiating, whatever it is.
And you
adjust
knew it. Like I said yesterday, I was like, I tell my son that all the time. Look at when you're about to be in the bonus. Mm-hmm. Pay attention to that. Be aware of that.
And be aware of what big man you're driving to the paint to. Hey, man, this dude can't. I can do one crossover. He's going to be on his back of his feet, and his hands are going to come forward. And once his hands come forward a little bit, all I have to do is go into him.
Yep.
And they're going to call it every time because he's going to foul me.
Yep.
No, I totally agree. All right, so Texas basketball, disappointing loss, 75-73. I don't know what Kansas is going to do since they now essentially have the regular season crown.
They're going to try and win games because that's what basketball teams do in March.
All right,
you cannot take time off. I get it. I get it's a fun concept. You cannot take time off because the minute you do, everything you worked on to get to that streak of how you're feeling and playing good right now, erase all of it off the blackboard. You are starting fresh in the next game, and that is not how you want to go into the NCAA tournament.
Well, Texas is going to the tournament.
Yeah.
No, I mean they are, but they can win on Saturday. They can go win some games in the Big 12 tournament.
They could,
and they can not be.
If Kansas is taking that approach and they are going to go into this game with Texas with a sense of urgency, I don't feel good about Texas' chances.
I will say there is one good thing. Home court advantage is big in the Big 12.
It's huge.
So Texas at home, there is that going for us. That this team should have beaten TCU as bad as they played in that game. They still should have won that game. Mm-hmm. Like, Dylan Dessou missed how many shots, I don't know, that he was 3 feet away from the basket, and he normally hits those. Like, there was just a bunch of little things in that game. Rebounds that bounced off a guy's hands that they had him and they bounced off. if you change a couple of those things that are in your hands to change, if they miss a couple threes, Texas wins this game. So I get that it's as bad as it looks. You are going against a good team on the road and should have won in spite of everything else. So you just need to not focus on completely doom and gloom. You have to go, look, here's all our positives. We have to do these, and these are the things we have to fix. And if we can't fix these, we need to scheme better to try and close up holes that we cannot allow everyone to crash into the basket on some of these long three-pointers when we hold them to 29 seconds on the shot clock and there's 1 second left, and they throw the ball up, and all our guys crash the board, and so all they have to do is tap it out, and they have 4 guys waiting around to catch the ball.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. They gotta fix their mistakes. Obviously, that's something they gotta do going into this game versus Kansas. But it's like I said, you're playing bad basketball at the wrong time.
Yes.
Yep.
That's just,
I agree.
That's just, and with a team with so much leadership and such a veteran team, this is actually the pattern you wanted to avoid.
Yep.
You don't want to be playing bad basketball in March.
Yep.
And so it's not saying we know the ceiling for this team. This team can play with almost any team in the country when they're playing their best basketball.
When you come out and play the first half.
When you play the whole game.
You play
it
the whole
helps.
game.
There you
and
go. When
It
you play the whole
definitely will
game.
put you in there.
Someone said I jinxed them yesterday because I kept bringing up the fact that they hadn't lost back-to-back games. Very possible, and I apologize if that is the case.
I'm the only one that's superstitious,
Someone
guys.
says, text line, do you think Chris Beard is happy to see Texas losing?
No.
I know because these guys he recruited, so I hope he's not happy about
And
the
he's
guys.
this is his
losing.
alma mater.
And it is well, he's probably got a little beef with the alma mater right now. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Don't create that shit.
And I will say, and I see a lot of people, there is a lot of people that are like, Chris Beard will be ripping these guys harder. Chris Beard has also not been able to recruit a standard big man. That is what Texas needs desperately.
Exactly.
So if we want to say the good with Chris Beard, the thing that has killed us in so many of these games that we don't have a big, no bigs want to play for Chris Beard.
That's a good point.
So I'll just say, as much as we can say that we loved what he did,
Yeah.
he did good things.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if we want to point out the negatives of Rodney Terry, I will point out the negative of Chris Beard. He could not get us a big man, and boy, that would be really good right
That's
now.
a roster construction issue.
For sure.
But some people would argue that scheme and other things with Chris Beard would be.
They would argue it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just hey, the show is about being fair and balanced.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there. All right.
Yep.
There you go. All right, we'll come back. We'll get to Longhorn football news, notes, and nuggets. We'll have updates from the NFL Combine. Short Choice also declining a job opportunity because apparently the grass is greener on the 40 acres. So is the cash. Right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Harge here, and I want to talk to you about my friends over at Allstat Beer. Allstat is born in Fredericksburg, Texas, right in the heart of the Texas Hill Country. They have a beautiful state-of-the-art brewery. The brewery prides itself on their award-winning German-style beers. The Great American Beer Festival awarded the Allstat Lager a gold for the second time. They also have an amazing fine dining restaurant and a tap room where you can taste other flavors. Plan a tour today and see it for yourself. Enjoy some great beer, some great food, and, of course, take some great friends with you. On the weekends, the brewery also has live music, so plan a trip today. Go to allstatbeer.com to find a local watering hole where you can enjoy some or where you can pick some up on your way home. Regardless of what you do, make Allstat your beer of choice. Allstat beer is made with 100% German ingredients. That means German hops, malts, and yeast, and of course that natural hill country water. Allstat beer, no impurities, no regrets.
All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new theme Thursday. My man Patrick plays songs and jams that should lead us to clues that should actually lead us to actually what the actual theme of the day is for the new theme Thursday. So I think I know what it is.
Oh, yeah. Today's
It's
Texas' birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
Hey, look, there's very few things I could pick today.
Yeah. I knew it was going to be obvious, actually. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you made it obvious for us to. You didn't try to, beat around the bush a little bit.
No.
So there you go. The theme of the day is Texas. All right,
Texas
the great
Independence Day.
state of Texas, yes, and Texas Independence Day. So beautiful thing. Patrick, always the idea coming up with the ideas, and we appreciate that as always. We appreciate you, too, on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. That's the number to the Specs text line. We're going to get into some Combine updates. Had some stories we're going to get into, but the Combine updates are coming out fast and furiously, so we want to get to them right now because there are a couple of Longhorns who have already performed and another Longhorn who is also currently performing. The reason I do say perform is because it's a made-for-TV event. I would say competing, but it's more performing than competing. There's some competition, but like I said, it's more performing. If you perform well, there are winners and losers to the Combine.
Yeah.
That's the downside of the made-for-TV event. You can win the Combine now.
Uh-huh.
You actually can win it. Like you can. There's no official winner, but we all know there have been guys who out there they won the damn Combine. Man, this guy won the Combine. Now everybody's talking about him since it became a made-for-TV event. So this is like only a 20-year thing, and this is probably what Bijan wants to do. Hell, Bijan grew up watching the Combine, so for him, it's a showcase. It's a performance. For us, for old heads like myself, we never thought about it like that. But young guys coming up, they do want to showcase their talent at the Combine, and then they rank you. Right,
Yeah.
They show where you ranked in all the different skills competitions. Oh, he's here in the 40. He's fifth among the DBs and fifth among the linebackers, or third among the O-linemen. So it is. There are winners and there are losers. These are the narratives, the storylines that must be created when you have a made-for-TV event.
Yep.
It'd be boring if it was just, he ran a 4.47. Oh, he ran a 4.52. Like, no. We need to build narratives and storylines. So we rank these guys. There are winners, there are losers. Oh, this guy's great. This guy's rising up boards. They create storylines as they go.
Yep.
It's brilliant. It really is. And we're all captivated by it. So let's get into the updates about the Texas players. So D Lyman went first in their skills competition and their skills test. They did the 40-yard dash. I believe they already did the vertical as well. Moro Ojimo is apparently rising fast up draft boards with his performance. He ran a 5-flat 40-yard dash that put him in the top 10, put him at number 7.
Yep.
I believe it was, and a 10-yard split for him. Shout out to my man CB, by the way, who sent this to us. His 10-yard split also tied for 7th, 1.77.
Yeah.
10-yard split.
That's big time.
That actually matters more than the 40-yard dash for them.
Because to me, I feel the exact same way. I'm sitting here looking at what Keandre Colburn did in the 40. He ran a 5.22, but I'm looking for his 10-yard split, and he's a 1.82.
Okay.
So, you know what I'm saying? So you start looking at those numbers, and you're like, that's what I need from linemen. I don't need him running no 40. If a lineman has to run somebody down in the 40, we got to get rid of some of the other players we got.
Your defense is bad.
Exactly.
You got a bad defense.
If we're working for him to get that, that's not what we're looking for.
And I don't know who's running the ball in the offense. I don't know if it's that's Peyton Manning back there running the ball.
Exactly.
The D lineman going to catch him.
Okay, and Moro Ojimo also among defensive linemen. His vertical jump was also among the top 4 best vertical jumps.
Yeah, he's having a good one, man.
And his broad jump was also among the best 5 defensive linemen in the broad jump.
Yep.
Now, Moro Ojimo is out there making some straight cash homie.
And remember, he's probably younger than half of those people that are out there because he got to college when he was, 17 years old?
I believe he's 21 now.
Yeah.
He
So
spent
he's been here for a while.
He spent 5 seasons at Texas, and he's 21 now.
Exactly.
Let that soak in. He spent 5 years at Texas, and he's only 21 going into the NFL.
Yeah, there's some guys that are 25 years old that are about to try to go into the NFL right now.
Yeah, so he's a young'un.
Yes.
He's a baby.
And he's showing that he's testing well right now. And Keandre Colburn, We talked about it, 5.22 in the 40, 1.82 in the 10-yard split. He had a 27.5-inch vertical and an 8.5 foot broad jump.
With both of these guys, now I think Moro Ojomo, like I said, I think he's rising up draft boards a little bit quicker than Kendrick Coburn, and I'll explain that in a second. Moro Ojomo, he's 6'3", like 280. I don't know what he measured at the combine. I didn't look at that, but usually he's around 6'3", 280 around his playing weight. But he displays a lot of versatility. It's what you love about his game. Mm-hmm. He's one of those guys. He played 244 snaps inside at D tackle, played 114 on the edge. He's one of 4 Power 5 interior defensive linemen with top 15 Pro Football Focus grades as a pass rusher and a run defender. So even the NFL teams that like the analytical side of the D lineman, he really does show up. And I think Moro Ojomo at this point right now, considering now the film is going to match up with the specs and the stats and all the measurables, he's going to skyrocket up some draft boards.
Yeah.
He will. And he's young. Like you said, he's young. So the upside's there as well.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those guys. And did you mention that he's second in the vertical? He was second amongst the
I said he was he's top 4 and he's top 4 in vertical and broad jumps.
Yeah, he's number 2 behind Jalen Redmond from Oklahoma in the vertical, the defensive tackle for Oklahoma.
Yeah, that guy's
having a hell of a Yeah, he was 34.5.
Yeah, that guy's he's first in the broad jump. Jalen Redmond first in the broad jump and first in the vertical among defensive linemen.
Yeah.
Ran
a 4.8.
Yeah, and so when all of this stuff is finalized, hopefully Moro Ojomo is still among the top performers. But I think either way, he has really impressed everybody. You can just kind of put him in a search engine for Twitter, and there are tons of people that are talking about who's this Moro Ojomo guy. Everybody watch film on him. We've been watching it for a while. Texas had the best interior D line in the country last year. And I know it sounds crazy to say it, but it was the deepest with Moro Ojomo, Kendrick Coburn. You had guys like Byron Murphy, throw him in there. You also had you can throw Alfred Collins in that conversation, Vernon Broughton in that conversation. I mean, they were just really deep.
Yeah.
Hell, Devondre Sweat. I forget about how many they had. They really went 4 to 6 deep. In the interior D line for Texas. So those guys are really showcasing, at least Moro Ojomo is, showcasing their talent on the big stage there at the Combine. With Kendrick Coburn, he doesn't need to showcase, some elite physical skill set at the Combine. With him, he's going to be a player in the NFL now that every team needs on their roster, because you have more teams in the NFL that have adopted the Shanahan, Sean McVay zone blocking scheme, which forces teams that outside zone have to run sideline to sideline. They're trying to stress you horizontally, so you need players that can run sideline to sideline, right? Look like what you hunt, look like what you eat. So they got to the point where they got a lot of players in the NFL who are streamlined players, right? They're hybrid players. They can run sideline to sideline, emphasizing speed over size and strength and power. Well, to counter that, teams just started to run, instead of running all the outside zone blocking schemes, they're running more power gap schemes, and you need power gap run defenders, right? You need run stuffing, space eating, double team taking, gap consuming, clogging, wide body run defenders. That's Kendrick Coburn, because when they start countering with by the way, prime example, the Eagles. The Eagles all year long, they were rolling along like, we got a great defense, we're good, and then they end up losing Jordan Davis. They're run stuffing, space eating, double team taking, wide body defensive tackle. They have to go get Linval Joseph. They have to go get Ndamukong Suh, because every team needs one. If you ain't got one, then you're going to be SOL. Your defense is going to have a huge hole, because yes, you may be able to defend the zone blocking schemes, but can you defend the power and the gap schemes? And that's why you got to get you a Coburn.
Yep.
Everybody's got to have a Kendrick Coburn, and if yours is too expensive, I need a cheaper one.
Yep.
You don't want to invest a long-term contract in one of those guys, right? That's why you want mercenaries like Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph, and that's why Jordan Davis for the Eagles, they understood, I'm going to need this guy. I'm going to need a guy like this for the next 4 or 5 years, so they drafted Jordan Davis, but he already got hurt.
Yeah.
That's why I don't know if it's necessarily worth the draft capital drafting one of those guys, because he's probably going to get hurt. It's a hard job. You
It
just
is
take on
definitely-
double
yeah.
teams
and try to
every
clog
damn-
it up the entire time.
That's a hard
Yeah.
job, man.
Yeah.
But the Siaka Ika's one of those guys. You're gonna Kendrick Coburn actually may add value because he was a great
Yes,
pass
he was.
rusher this
Yes,
year.
He was.
He was able to penetrate and apply pressure this year too. So we'll talk some more about that tomorrow. But I think that's where both of those guys are going to be coveted in the draft because of that, their skill sets.
They're creating a buzz for themselves, and other people are starting to see the things that we were hoping we got to see when they were here early, but we end up seeing it late, and that's why they graded so well this year.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Texas says, yeah, and you can lose the combine as well. Oh, no, you can lose the combine.
Oh, for sure.
There are probably more losers of the combine than winners of the combine. There ain't no doubt about that. You can lose it. Jamarcus Russell won the combine with a 70-yard pass from his knees. GMs didn't know about the purple drink. That is true. That's exactly. You know what I mean? So the combine is just a show, people.
Yep.
It is just a show.
As you said before.
It's just a made for TV event. That's
Made
all
for
it is.
TV.
That's all. It really has got. I think Dan Campbell said it. He recently said, I'll get the Dan Campbell quote, but Dan Campbell recently said, like, yeah, man, it's a made for TV event, and he cares nothing about it. He just likes to meet the players. He said that's his whole point of going to the combine. He said it's about meeting the players. Oh, here's the quote. He said, I guess there is somewhat of a spectacle. To me, it's more at this point just to be able to sit with these guys. They get the medical during the week, but for us to be able to do these interviews is the biggest part of all this. It's not even the working out portion. To me, you grade them off the tape. You don't grade off somebody out here in pajamas running a 40 with no defender around. He's right. He said the meetings are great. The meetings are really pivotal. All the other stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a show now. And you know what? I love it. It's like reality TV. You know some of it's fake and then a little scripted, and you're like, I still want to watch it.
Yeah.
That's what the combine is basically the NFL's version of their reality TV. It's their reality TV
Love
show.
it.
And you love it till you love it. Like, oh, this is great. Hey, ain't got a damn thing to do with football. Ain't got a damn thing to do with football. But hey, this is like reality TV ain't got a damn thing to do with reality.
Yep.
But we love it. All right?
No doubt.
Social media is becoming more antisocial by the day. We love it.
Oh, I was going to say, it is definitely
It's
antisocial.
Anything but social.
Yeah, exactly. Ain't nobody making that many friends on the internet.
You're losing friends on social media. Come on, man.
How did I lose 100 followers already? Oh, you said something you wasn't supposed to say.
You said something that got you canceled.
Exactly.
So DeMarvin Overshown, no updates on him yet, and as soon as we have some, we'll relay those as well because he also will be performing at the NFL Combine because defensive linemen and linebackers on the field today for all of their testing. We come back, we'll get into the flex on the other side, let you know what's happening in the high school basketball playoffs here in Central Texas. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. We all know Austin is a beautiful city, a magnificent one. Thanks in no small part to our good friends over at Iron Workers Local Union 482. They've been helping shape Greater Austin since 1935. As the city continues to grow and thrive, so does Iron Workers Local Union 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, you can become a member of Iron Workers Local Union 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. Iron Workers Local Union 482 are hiring 3,000 people right now for a huge project. So become a member of Iron Workers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of this great city. Maximize your potential today and be your best self by applying at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new theme Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. And, of course, Patrick, like all of us, proud Texans. So celebrating Texas Independence Day, and that is the theme of New Theme Thursday. So shout out to my man Patrick.
Shout
Doing a great
out.
job finding all songs that are Texas themed or at least mention Texas somewhere prominently in the lyrics.
Yes, I mean they all have Texas in the title.
So that's what
All
Texas
have
in the title. Okay, so there
Yes,
you
they
go.
all have
The Texas in the title. That specifically. All right. That wasn't tough, right? That was easy.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to find different genres
Because
because there's 9,000 country songs with it. I'm trying to
mix
spread
it
it out
up.
a little bit, so it was a little bit hard to find different
There's
stuff. But
no way you found an R&B song with Texas in the title.
no, I found several hip hop songs that I cannot play on the radio.
I was about to say, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because it's going down from H-Town.
Yeah, I was about to say, I could name some third coast for you that they got Texas in there, no question.
Oh
but,
yeah. But I can't
R&B,
play any of them
Yeah.
because every single one of them, I was like, I'm gonna have to censor this 6 times in the first 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's like when you try to watch Sopranos on A&E, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, there's no point in this.
Exactly.
You mother freaker.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. We'll get back to the Combine conversation. As a matter of fact, there is a Combine-related story on FLXATX.com. It's perfect. The Austin area schools with an alumni invited to the 2023 Combine. They got that up there for you as well. Those who will be participating in the Combine. As a matter of fact, Not a Nap Guy on the Specs Texon says, broad jumping is one I really don't get. There's no crying in baseball and no broad jumping in football. Agree, but broad jumping is an explosive skill. Yeah, that's like it's an explosive
Just like
movement.
the vertical.
It's an explosive movement. Yeah, so you can tell if you're 300 some pounds and you can get all of that weight, you know what I mean, exploding up in a vertical leap
Yep.
as high as, I don't know, 30, 34, 35, 36 inches, right up there with DBs who are 180 pounds. It shows you that defensive line is pretty damn explosive. Now, if that explosion may not last more than 6-7 yards, maybe that's all you
But
need.
at least it happened.
That's maybe all you need, though.
Yep.
You see that guy, because he can reset the line of scrimmage like that. And that's so that you're looking for that explosion. That's explosive power.
Yep.
Mad Dog used to always talk about that. So you can.
I thought it was all block passes and block field goals. That's all it is. All the jumping.
all the leaping, that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, it is. It's one of those. It's one of those. I think that actually does translate to football better than some of the other skills that they test at the NFL Combine. For the 40-yard dash, which is the premier event of the Combine, translates the least to actual football of all the skills tests you could argue. You can make that argument. Even for skills players like DBs and wide receivers, you go other than 5-10-5 and the shuttle are actually better at translating the football than the straight up 40. Because I just never run 40 yards straight ahead. I don't think I ever did it ever. It's very rare. It's really because I'm fighting with a wide receiver too.
Yeah, you're
When I'm
cutting and you're shifting.
I'm cutting, I'm
and-
shifting,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
looking,
yeah.
I'm reading, my hands are moving. I'm never running straight ahead 40 yards. That just never happens.
Right.
There's so much other things, so much of the stuff going on, and so many things you got to process while
Very
that's
true.
happening. Anyway, go check out FLXATX.com. They also have the high school basketball action and the coverage of the basketball action. They have the breakdown. You can go check that out up there as well with the latest round of high school basketball playoff action, the third round final scores, and the regional semifinal matchups are up there for you too.
And there's a lot of baseball that is going to be going on this weekend. There's tournaments all over the Central Texas area. Again, I'm sure that you have talked to some of your baseball buddies and found out where their kids are going to be playing. I know that Westlake has a bunch of games because of some of the buddies that we have whose kids are over there at Westlake as well. Pflugerville, Round Rock, Georgetown, they're all playing in tournaments as well as Lake Travis. So make sure you get it there, baby. Make sure you get it there.
Yeah, no doubt. Go to FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. They got you covered with all of their high school coverage for all of your local sports at the high school level. All right, we come back. We'll get into a ton of NFL news, notes, and nuggets. Mike McCarthy speaking out about Kellen Moore. We'll ask our resident Cowboys fans, Mike Harge, how he feels about that. Also, there are rumblings that the Cowboys may be interested in a trade with the Texans. Bijan Robinson odds. We'll get into those. And DeMarvion Overshown meeting with the Cowboys. A lot of Cowboys talk on the other side. We'll talk about that more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. New theme Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie. As my man Patrick plays specific songs for us that are supposed to lead us to clues that actually give us the new theme for New Theme Thursday. And today it's all about Texas Independence Day. So it is songs specifically with Texas in the title. Which one is this one? What's
Texas Flood by Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Texas Flood. There you go. Yeah. I do recognize the jam.
Maybe apropos for later tonight.
Yeah, I've been hearing about this. Yeah, it's been looking gloomy all day. But I heard it did storm, though, in like the hill country and stuff like that. Bucky said, you driving in, it was crazy for him.
It was crazy.
Yeah, Bucky said it was dangerous, man, on the road. It's like 4 a.m. But other than that, I mean, here in centralized Austin, we haven't had much of that, but it has looked gloomy all day. So please be careful on the roads if you are getting into some of that bad weather. We'll talk about the NFL Combine. We'll give you the updates. We got 3 Longhorns that are actually performing today. DeMarvion Overshown, the linebacker, 2 D linemen have already done most of their testing, but we'll give you the updates on that. Moro Ojimo and Keandre Coburn. Speaking of DeMarvion Overshown, apparently the Cowboys are interested in one DeMarvion Overshown, very interested in him. We'll get into that coming up. We'll also talk about Bijan odds, but first we're going to start with Mike McCarthy.
Come on, man.
Yeah, first we'll start with Mike McCarthy, because this is interesting. Mike McCarthy, he's speaking at the NFL Combine. He's been asked a lot of different questions about the Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. The NFL is the #1 TV show in America. Dallas Cowboys are the #1 TV star on the #1 TV show in America. So Cowboys are a big topic of discussion, especially since they've made a lot of wholesale changes offensively with their coaching staff. So they asked Mike McCarthy about Kellen Moore. Specifically, he's been talking a lot about Kellen Moore. Very complimentary things too, by the way. He's been very complimentary about Kellen Moore and what he did, and really I don't think he said one critical or negative thing about Kellen Moore since I heard these comments coming out. But here is Mike McCarthy when he was speaking at the NFL Combine about the new offense, but also the coaching changes and also the offense without Kellen Moore.
You start the evaluation process. For me personally, it's been the same each and every year. You take the first 3 days with the players, and then we obviously had a significant number of changes on our staff. So just really part of the evaluation and part of the next step. So I think obviously I think Kellen did an excellent job. If you look at the way we played over the course of the last 3 years. As a head coach, every head coach has a vision of how you want the football team to play, what they look like. Our complementary football formula, I felt was the best this year, the 3 years. I think every 3, 4, 5 years into your offense, you need to make, pretty good, not significant, but changes and adjustments, tendencies, and things like that. So I just felt this was a good time to make that change.
All right. Thought it was a good time. Very complimentary. He said some other things, too, we don't have actual sound of, so we'll just give you the quotes that came from the NFL Combine. He also talked about how they wanted to run the ball more. Mm-hmm. He did say that, they want to run the ball more to keep their defense off the field. That was also one of the remarks he made at the NFL Combine. I don't even know if that's one of the philosophical changes or differences. He did say 30 to 35% of the offense is changing. Yep. We just don't know exactly what that 30 to 35% is, Harj, in terms of what he's going to change. But he did say that, they want to run the ball more. That's one of the things that they brought up, and I think that means if you're going to run the ball more, then you gotta invest in running backs. So I think that's good for Tony Pollard, and it may be good for them drafting another running back in this draft.
Absolutely, and that's something that I've been talking about from the very beginning is when the Cowboys and Dak had success, they were running the ball, and even if they weren't running it as the numbers would dictate, some of the other teams did, you still posed a threat when you ran play action. His numbers were very high when he was running play action passes and being able to see the defense a little bit differently. I think that is something that we've all talked about here. The Cowboys get pass happy. They did it with Romo. They did it with Dak. They've done it a lot. when you're sitting there looking at the team and saying, why are we not running the ball at this point or at this junction in the game? There's so many different things that we can all nitpick, and we always do. There's so many things that we can pick apart on every team. We look at certain things and you're like, why are they doing that? It's just the way that they felt the game was going. But there were so many times that we're sitting here saying, your defense just got off the field and you run 3 plays and they're right back out there. You can't do it. You can't do that because most of the and you stop the clock because it was an incomplete pass. So there were so many times that I'm looking at this team and saying, why are we not running the ball to try to make it work for our defense? And I agree with Mike McCarthy on that point of it. To change it 25 to 30% of the offense, 30 to 35%, we don't know what that entails. We don't know exactly how he thinks of that. But as long as running the ball is involved in it, I'm all for it. And again, maybe Mike McCarthy will call some screen plays to try to move the ball too. Coach Sark, run some screen plays.
The quote from Mike McCarthy, this is obviously different from the audio we just played. He said, quote, I've been where Kellen has been. Kellen wants to light the scoreboard up, but I want to run the damn ball so I can rest my defense. I think when you're a coordinator, but you're in charge of the offense, being a head coach and being a play caller, you're a little bit more in tune with everything. I don't desire to be the number 1 offense in the league. I want to be the number 1 team in the league with a number of wins and a championship.
Hello.
And if we got to give up some production and take care of the ball better to get that, then that's what we'll do because we have a really good defense, end quote. Okay.
I'm still not buying him that much, though. I'm not buying Mike McCarthy that much, but I love what he just said.
I'll leave it there. Earlier, before the season even started, we had a guest on for Harsh Knock Life, and I'm not sure. I can't remember who it was. Was it Goose Goslin? I think it was Goose. I think it was Goose Goslin.
Yep.
And I asked him a question. I said, Goose, there are 2 ways to win the Super Bowl. Elite quarterback, elite pass rush. Cowboys are closer to being the latter than the former. Why not go all in on the elite pass rush / defense? And Goose said, you're damn right. It's exactly what they need to do.
Right.
You putting too much on Dak because you assume he's elite. He ain't getting there. That ain't him. He's about close to his ceiling right now, but it's still a damn good quarterback, by the way.
Right.
Hovering around being a top 10 quarterback. What you need to do is emphasize and invest in other aspects of that team, mainly the defense. Micah Parsons is arguably, some people would call him the most unique defensive player in the league, and he's one of the top 5 best pass rushers in the league just right now. And maybe that's what the Cowboys need to be building around. And that sounds crazy, but it's, to me, that's kind of what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically saying, like, yeah, we can't get there just by being a high-scoring offense anymore because situationally it doesn't work with us when we get on the big stage in playoff time playing elite competition.
It never should have been
being
there.
That team,
yes.
being built in that way, it always backfires on us. Yep. We should be built in another way that gives us kind of more margin for error other than we need big Dak energy. And if we don't get big Dak energy, then we're going to lose. We're depending on everything for big Dak energy. Remember I said about Dak? Dak essentially for the Cowboys, he was a happy accident, just like Viagra. They didn't know Viagra was going to end up being a drug that could help, in terms of your libido and sexual enhancement and all that stuff. They had no idea it was a cardiovascular drug. It was a happy accident. Dak's the same thing. All right, Dak was drafted in the 4th round. They wanted Paxton Lynch. They wanted Connor Cook. They ended up with Dak Prescott. Boom, 3rd-string quarterback. Ended up being a really good quarterback. Great investment by the Dallas Cowboys. With that being said, though, now I think the real mission for Mike McCarthy is, how do I get consistent big Dak energy all the time? We've seen it, and we've seen it in flashes. That's what all of you Dak heads out there have been talking about. That's why you love you some Dak. That's why, although the Dak haters also, they do have a valid argument. Because Dak, sometimes on the big stages, you don't get the best of Dak Prescott. You get Dak Prescott who throws interceptions at crucial times. You get Dak Prescott who can't make the big throw or the big play or the crucial play at the right time, in clutch time. And for Mike McCarthy to take the play calling, and now also he's going to be the guy that's responsible for the offense. It's his offense. I think his number one mission is to bring out the best in Dak Prescott. How do you do that? And I think that's where he came up with the 30 to 35% because he's going to do exactly what you want, Harge.
Yep.
If Dak is good in play action, let's do more play action. If he's good on the boots and the rollouts, let's go to the boots and the rollouts. Let's do more of that. More of emphasizing Dak's strengths, and let's de-emphasize the weaknesses. Whatever he's bad at, let's stop doing that.
Right.
Let's do it more when he's good at. And that's why he's saying let's run the ball more. That way, we don't even put so much of the burden on Dak Prescott initially. He's more of a complementary weapon of the offense rather than the entire offense himself.
Yeah, Dallas finished fourth in the NFL last season in points per game with 27.4 behind Kansas City, Philly, and Buffalo. In total yards, they had 354.9 yards per game, which was 11th in 2022 after leading the entire NFL in that category in 2021. And what did that get you? Nothing. It didn't get you anything. So if you're going to be in the middle for everything, because the biggest thing we talked about before, Rod, was how big of a jump that defense made, because they were awful before. Now they're in the middle of the pack. They're near the top of the league in their defensive numbers. So that's the same. Just be in the middle. As long as you're winning ball games and you can get to the Super Bowl, be there. I'm cool with that. I don't have to, Cowboys, they lost, they won. But they won 12 games, and they led the league in numbers. Who cares? I want to be leading the league at the end of the season playing for a championship. That's what it matters. That's what Mike McCarthy said. I don't care about all those numbers. I want to be considered the best team in the NFL at the end of the year. That's it. That's all Andy Reid looks at. But he got magician back there.
I was going to say Andy Reid.
He's got Patrick Mahomes back there.
They have the best offense in the league.
Yeah.
But they're still winning games.
But that was the funny part about the difference of when people are getting on Mike McCarthy for saying that he wants to run the ball more and doesn't want to just chunk it downfield. Like, Patrick Mahomes doesn't just chunk it downfield anymore because the defense is adjusted to it.
Yep.
It's like the bigger problem with Kellen Moore wasn't so much that it was always down. It was that it was always slow developing plays where you're making plays where Dak can't get to his first read until way too late into the progression. And now you're making it to where more people can read his eyes because where he's trying to look to not look to his. You have to make the game a little bit simpler and go more quick plays. So even if it's not play action, we're just trying to get it over the middle to a tight end, or we're just trying to get it off over here. We're just trying to get things to get the ball out of his hands and get a first down. Let's just get a first down. I get it's harder to pick up first down to first down, but also if we're throwing deep on first because we're going to catch him off guard, and then we run up the middle on second, and it's now 3rd and 8. How many times can you do that before we can stop pretending that Kellen Moore is tearing it up against elite teams? Because he's not, and that's who you're going to meet in the playoffs.
Yeah, but see, that's why I do think there's a misconception about the run game. I would even like him to clarify. I do think he meant just run the ball better. I don't know if he meant run the ball more.
Yeah, right.
I think he meant run it better and be more efficient and effective in the running game, more so than run it more. Because there's a couple of stats about the Cowboys, right? If you look at the Cowboys in 2021 and in 2020, you go look at the run-pass rate of the Cowboys. Looked at the percentage of series that go run-pass, which is the most predictable series in football. You're going to run the ball on first down, run the ball on second down, and then pass the ball on third down when you have to throw the ball. The Cowboys, 28% this year, third highest. Now, a lot of that is Cooper Rush having to play so many games. I think with Dak being out, they got really conservative. That's where I think that number came from. You go look at Mike McCarthy in recent years. He loves to throw the ball on early downs. 2010, 2018, the Mike McCarthy offense actually led the NFL in early down pass rate. This season, when Dallas threw the ball on first down, they had the second highest down set conversion rate behind the Kansas City Chiefs when they threw the ball on first down. When they ran the ball on first down, they actually dropped to 22nd in a down set conversion rate. So the Cowboys actually are really good when they throw the ball early and they kind of disrupt the equilibrium of the defense by catching them off guard because they can throw the ball early. Now, you don't have to throw it downfield early. These can be short, intermediate passes and extension of the running game, which, by the way, is something else that will also change in this new offense, that 30 to 40% they're talking about. At least 30 to 35% they're talking about. The Cowboys ran the 4th most hitch routes in the NFL. Hitch routes are essentially 5 yards, turn around, look at the quarterback, stop routes. That's an easy route to defend. I don't know why they're running so many hitch routes. So I guarantee you now with Mike McCarthy calling the plays and now with Brian Schottenheimer as the offensive coordinator, you're going to see a lot more movement routes, so fewer hitch routes, probably fewer curl routes and stop routes, period. And you won't have so many stationary targets. There'll be more of the shallow crossing spears, crossing routes, overs, unders, China passing game, that kind of stuff. So there will be subtle changes to the offense. Whether they are Dak friendly is the key.
Right.
Because like I said, it's all about getting big Dak energy. You got to make sure everything is Dak friendly.
Yeah. You got to have it that way. I mean, and that is something that at one point, he and Kellen Moore had the offense as Dak friendly. That's why the numbers were so high. That's why they were so great. They were having so much fun and scoring a lot of points, but still not. They were still finishing like 8-8. You know what I'm saying? 9-7. They were still in that realm. They're just not getting over the hump, and that's the biggest thing. We could talk about this all offseason and try to figure out what the offense is going to be.
Yeah.
Until they get to the NFC Championship game, it's all fodder. It's all fodder because that's all the fans are looking for. That's the only way I'm going to get them Dak haters off my boy.
That's true.
If they get to the championship game and he plays well, people will be like, he got lucky. He got lucky. Well, it don't matter. Whatever it is, just get there, and then we can sort it out from there. And if Mike McCarthy, which this is big for Mike McCarthy too, because if I'm going to go down, I'm going down with my quarterback, and I want to be in charge of calling plays, and this is the way we're going to do it. So the only problem that I had with Mike McCarthy throughout that whole conversation and what happened this entire year, you're the head coach, man. If you wanted to run the ball more, walk right over to him or get into the headset and say, we need to run the ball more right here. Let's do that because you are the man in charge. You're the one that everybody's supposed to be looking at for the leadership. So if that was what your goal was, you should have told him that. You could have been in control of that the entire time, and you weren't. So now we're supposed to, okay, now's your opportunity, but now you're the one that has everything written on you. Everything that happens moving forward, this was what you wanted. This is who you are. So if they decide and the Cowboys don't do well, you gone, player.
Well, it's not just do well. I think they can do well. They have to get past the divisional round.
Right.
Unfortunately, that is the only standard of success for Mike McCarthy. Other than that, Cowboys fans are going to deem it to be
100%
a failure of a season.
It's a terrible year.
Because you got to get past that point.
We won 12 games, Mike. Terrible because you didn't get out the divisional round.
I would say terrible, but it would be considered a disappointment.
Yeah.
That's all this is about, getting the Cowboys past the divisional round, because that seems to be the ceiling
100%.
for the organization right now.
100%.
But talk about Cowboys. Might as well continue the Cowboys conversation. And we also will give you updates on the defensive linemen and where the Longhorns now stand in their ranking with the defensive line testing. Mauro Ojomo and Keandre Coburn. They were early. I think they did all the interior defense linemen early. And I wish they would separate the edge guys from the interior defense linemen, but I don't think they do that. They just classify them all as defensive linemen. So we'll give you the latest with the defensive linemen from Texas and where they rank. But DeMarvion Overshown.
Hold on, before you go to DeMarvion Overshown, remember I told you about Nolan Smith, the kid from Georgia, and what he's done?
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
He just ran a 4.4 40.
What was his vertical?
41.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's testing well. Remember what you said? Some people can win.
You can win the combine. Yeah, you can also
We all
lose
thought he was good, but now you're seeing the freakish numbers that are coming out of the combine. I can't wait to see what DeMarvion does.
He ain't doing that.
Yeah.
I love DeMarvion. That he ain't gonna do that kind of stuff. He's gonna test really well. That is a different level. And the linebackers are getting faster and faster every year.
Oh, for sure.
The linebackers are probably in terms of the 40-yard dash, we've probably seen the most drastic leap in faster 40s over the last 5 or 6 years at linebacker than any other position.
No doubt.
It's crazy how fast the linebackers are these days. D-linemen, and it's just more and more freakish by the day. Anyway, getting back to Texas linebacker DeMarvion Overshown, he was recently speaking at the NFL Combine, and they asked him, what teams have you been talking to and who's interested in DeMarvion Overshown, he said, quote, I've talked to the Cowboys a lot. A lot. He said, Dan Quinn, I've seen him a lot around the Texas facility while I was there. So being able to chop it up with him here during the formal interviews and then talking to them at the Reese's Senior Bowl, that defense is amazing. And being able to play along some of the guys, it would be fun. He's also, I imagine he's talking about when Dan Quinn came for the coaches clinic, to speak at the coaches clinic for Sark. And by the way, this year is going to be my man Kyle Shanahan, lifetime Longhorn, is coming back to speak at the Steve Sarkisian coaching clinic.
You need to get
for
up
the high
in that
school coaches.
conversation, dog.
No, I'm not going to the coaching clinic. No, I'll go hang out with my dog. I ain't going to the coaching clinic. No. But anyway, he also was asked what's going on at those meetings with the Cowboys. He said, quote, we had great meetings. We really just watched my film. They talked a lot about how they loved my relentless effort, and there is a lot that they can do with me in their system. It was a great overall formal interview with them. I totally could see Dan Quinn having a little mini crush on DeMarvion Overshown. I've been saying for years that Dan Quinn did a great job of really just evolving his philosophy on defense from when he was the architect of the Legion of Boom. Now he believes in positionless football, is a big fan of it. I think even before Micah Parsons, I think that was more of a serendipitous happenstance, if you will, that he ended up with the Cowboys and they drafted Micah Parsons. I'm sure he was, advising them to do so, but something he was experimenting with even in his time in Atlanta. He was experimenting with positionless football, and with the Cowboys, with the 3 safeties that he uses all the time, the 3 safety package, which he uses probably around 40% of the time, and with Micah Parsons, moving him around the chessboard, having guys like Keanu Neal last year. He was another guy who moved around a lot. He likes having a lot of players that are versatile. Makuyamu is probably another one of his projects, and DeMarvion Overshown is perfect, moving from safety as a hybrid to linebacker. He's a guy that's perfect, the new age linebacker, a spread baby in the modern NFL, especially in a system like Dan Quinn, who wants to weaponize his hybrid skill set.
Yeah, as I've been talking about since day one. He came into the University of Texas as a big-time safety with his recruitment. Then they moved him to the linebacker. And the comparison that I kept trying to give him was Cam Chancellor, who, by the way, played for Dan Quinn. And that was the position that I was looking for him to play here at the University of Texas. It took some time for him to buy into it, and once he bought into it, he became the player that he did here at the university. So for me, if he just happens to end up with the Cowboys, that'll be great, because one of the positions that I continue to talk to you about has always been the linebacker position. And if he can come in and find a way to fill that void and fill that gap, I'm all for it.
Yep.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, the LVE is going to be a free agent, so they're going to need some linebacker
Anthony
help.
Barr is going to be gone. Those other guys that they brought in that, we're still waiting on Damone Clark and Jabril Cox and see what they're doing. But they seem to be dragging their feet a little bit. Not Clark, because Clark's been running well.
They like him.
And he played well. But Cox hadn't been doing much of anything. So if he's going to get passed up, why not take a chance on a young player like DeMarvion and bring him in? So,
all right, what you got coming for the people on Harsh Knock Life?
Well, since we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, there's a safety that may be on the move, and the reason why he's ready to make a move is he just wants to keep some of his money, and I think the Cowboys might want to look at him as well.
Ooh, I like that. We'll get into some Cowboys discussion, talk about what they may be looking at in the draft, all of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Welcome back to the New Theme Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie. Happy birthday, Texas. That's what the theme is right there. Got their Texas independence. You can follow me on Twitter at HardballHard. You can follow my man Rob Babers at Rob Babers. And you can follow my man Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis. We love it when you're part of the show. Hit us up on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. Also, you just heard the intro talking about Cover 3. They have crawfish now. Make sure you get over to Cover 3 and get you some of that crawfish. Cover 3, Cover 2. They have it in different types of flavors. However you want it, they can make it for you. I went by there today. It was outstanding. So get over there now. And, by the way, people always ask, are they big crawfish? They are big crawfish. I had one today that looked like a lobster. I ain't even going to lie to you. And it was doggone good. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this. Since we're talking about the Cowboys, we're talking about the Combine. The Cowboys are in a unique position to where we can agree that we love the safeties that the Dallas Cowboys have. Mm-hmm. We love us some Malik Hooker. I know you get down with Jaron Kearse. And, of course, Donovan Wilson from Texas A&M. He's been a headhunter all year. But there's different things that each of them are good at, and there's some things that they're not good at, right? So you sit there and you're looking at what are you doing with all three of those? You're bringing them in different situations. Are you going to be able to sign them? Are you going to make moves? What are you going to do at that position? Are you going to draft at that position? But I found it interesting today that one of the players that I'm very fond of in the NFL is looking for, can you say, a brighter place to play? Wants to play a little bit more in the sun, want to go to a place where there's not a lot of taxes. Where he is right now, he made $5.6 million last season, but he's paying a 12.75% tax rate every time. Yeah. And that's taking a big chunk of what he's earning. So as I sit and I look at it and saying, okay, look at the safety market, right? The highest paid safeties in the NFL, you start looking around and you're trying to figure it out. So the lowest paid at number 10 is Jesse Bates for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's making $12.9. Quandre Diggs is making $13 million. Ravens safety Marcus Williams making $14. Titans safety, is his name Kevin Byard?
Kevin Byard?
Byard. Yeah, that's how you say it, Byard?
Yeah.
Okay. $14.1 million. Eddie Jackson for the Bears is making $14.6. Buda Baker, $14.75. Byard, Baker, and I believe Justin Simmons are all, by the way, with your boy.
Caden Stearns?
No.
Who?
David Mugheletta.
Oh, is he with him too?
Yeah, he got a crew. He makes sure his crew gets paid.
Yeah, he does.
You know what I'm saying? Justin Simmons is making $15.5. Harrison Smith, $16 million. Jamal Adams is making $17.5. So on the Seattle Seahawks, you're paying $33 million $30 million for two safeties.
Yeah, and they regret that Jamal Adams.
Right, because he's been oft injured.
Yeah, and he just hasn't.
He's a box safety.
He's a glorified linebacker.
Yeah.
In the world of versatility, where that's what you value in safeties now, that's why the Cowboys love their safeties. He has very little versatility.
Right.
He's a great player.
Great player.
But not a versatile safety.
Not a safety like that. And he hadn't made Pro Bowls in a while either. But the number one overall safety, that's the highest paid safety in the league, is Minkah Fitzpatrick, $18.2 million.
Beast mode, can play anywhere.
Yeah, he's a freak.
Can play anywhere.
I wanted the Cowboys to get him. I ain't even gonna lie. When he was in the draft, I was hoping. But then, of course, he got drafted by Miami. And I'm like, come on, man, how they get him? You know. But he was a freak athlete and has done well with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So here's the question for you, Rod. I look at this NFL player. And I look at how good he is playing the position, and would you put him in the same category as you would with those guys? And that's why I'm worried about the Cowboys. The player that I'm talking about is Jordan Poyer.
Mm-hmm. He's a good player.
He's a damn good player, and you can tell when he's on the field and when he's not on the field.
Their defense is a totally different team when he's on it as opposed to when he's not on it. And I'm curious to it because he's a captain of the team. He earned All-Pro first team and Pro Bowl honors. He's 31 years old, though. He's 31 years old. And I didn't realize this either. He's been in the league 10 years.
Yeah. So he was a youngster when he came in.
Yeah.
I would say at safety age as well. That's why you move corners who can no longer play corner athletically
move
to
them to
safety. Safety it's a position that ages really well. You can have older players at safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you start looking at what he's done over his contract, like I said, he earned $5.9 million throughout that. But Poyer made more money in 2022 than he did in 2019, 2020, and 2021 with his salaries combined for those 3 years because of the taxes that he was getting robbed of during that time. So I am looking at him as a person that is going to be on the move. I think he has great value, whether it's through trade. He's an unrestricted free agent, though.
Okay.
He's an unrestricted free agent. Some of the teams that obviously are that have the things that he's looking for, son and less taxes, Florida, Nevada, Tennessee, Texas, and Washington all fit that criteria of where he would be in a good spot. The teams that I just named, you can pick either Jacksonville or Miami. And, his girl is like, I think her name is Jenna Bush or something like that.
Well, I don't know what her name is, but I know
Rachel
you're
Bush.
talking about.
That's it.
Yeah.
Her name is Rachel Bush.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
I know.
she want to be in Florida.
Yeah.
She might want to be in Nevada.
She looks good
She
in the
definitely
bikini.
want to be in Texas.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options for her to move around and for him as well. But what would you see being the best fit for him as a team would be looking for a safety in this before the draft? Because this is somebody you if you're not close to winning it, you don't go spend the money on him, right?
Yeah.
If you're not putting yourself in a position to win,
I agree with that.
you don't want to go out there and spend that type of money. And that's the biggest question that I have for a lot of teams is like, who is truly constructing themselves to win a championship year in and year out? Because some of these owners, you can tell. You're like, oh, no, they're just trying to make it through the season, get the gates, make a little bit of money, pay here. They're not really chasing that championship. They're just trying to play the games.
Yeah. That's a good
There are
point.
some people that you look at and they're like L.A., they were like, F them picks, we going for it all. Now they're like, can we get some of them picks back? I'll trade you Jalen Ramsey. I'll trade you somebody, but we need to get some of these picks back. But other teams are looking at it as well. So if you are a team that is looking for a safety, do you make a play? And you got to be close because you don't want to spend a lot of money if you're not close. You got to have somebody that's going to take you over the top. There's a lot of teams that are out there that are looking for that type of player, but how close are they? Because if he's going to leave Buffalo, he has to go to a contender because he's been in that situation for a while.
And it's only like 5 contenders.
Right. And some of them are pretty set.
Cincinnati don't need you. They got good safeties.
Because they just got Jesse Bates.
Kansas City just drafted a bunch of rookies back there, so they're pretty set. Philadelphia's pretty set too, even though they're pretty much on the cusp. You're leaving Buffalo. There's not a lot of places.
And that's why I say the Dallas Cowboys, what are you going to do with those 3 players that Jordan can possibly create one?
Yeah, but see, the problem with that is the Cowboys have never seen the safety as a premium position.
Trust me, I've been trying to get Earl Thomas there when Earl was on the market.
Even with
Earl
the
was begging
evolving
for it.
NFL, like John Schneider, Seahawks GM, and I tend to agree more with him. He considers safety to be the biggest utility position a team could have, and he says it's easily the most versatile. Dan Quinn believes that too, but Dan Quinn is good at getting a value out of your safety position. The Cowboys for years have never really believed that the safety position is worthy of draft capital or even salary capital in the free agency world. Since 2002, Cowboys have only spent one pick, on the top 125 on any draft on a safety.
Right.
Of any draft on a safety. Since 2013.
Was it Donovan Wilson?
Since 2013, top 100 picks, Since I got to go back and look and
Okay.
see exactly when he was drafted. I'm not sure. Since 2013, 75% of the NFL have picked at least one safety in the first or second round. The Cowboys have not done that. So the Cowboys don't really believe in drafting safeties really high, and they don't necessarily value them in the open market. They signed Malik Hooker to a mercenary deal, also signed Jaron Kearse to a mercenary deal until he proved himself, and then they signed him to a 2-year deal. Same thing with Malik Hooker, and they're going to let Donovan Wilson probably walk just because they believe Dan Quinn can get the most out of mercenaries or these renovation projects at safety, or these guys you can draft late in rounds like a Donovan Wilson or a Makuyamu,
Yeah.
another guy. So I don't think the Cowboys are even in that conversation. They just don't value safety like that. I do. They don't.
Well, and that's been one of my biggest problems with them because I look at it totally different. I'm like you. I'm looking at the safety position and saying, all right, man, we need to go get this. We need to back in. And that's the biggest problem that I've had with it throughout this time. So I think he was drafted. It doesn't say where he was drafted at, though. Dang it. I'm looking for it.
But no, they don't, because remember they drafted Byron Jones, but Byron Jones they drafted as a
Cornerback.
He was a
Yep.
defensive back. They drafted him as a corner and wanted him to play corner. So he's not in there. They just don't draft safeties really high. And for the record,
Sixth-round pick in 2019.
yeah, so not a lot of teams draft safeties high. Period.
Right.
Now, that's
You
just
got to be a freak.
yeah. That's just not a position that has been drafted high. But I think that it makes your defense most versatile. It's the argument can be made. It's the most versatile position on the defense. Period. But
Yeah.
especially in the back seven, and it makes you multiple, and teams don't want to use it. I don't know why. The best teams, though, you can see they prioritize it. And Dan Quinn, he does. The Cowboys play about 40% big nickel, big dime, which is 3 safety packages
Yep.
in their secondaries. So they love having multiple safeties.
Yeah.
They just don't want to pay for them.
They don't want to pay for him. They're
Yeah.
going to try to find somebody that can get them off the scrap heap.
Yeah, which you know what? I'm not hating on the Cowboys for that because it finally worked.
Yeah.
Malik Hooker,
Finally.
Jaron Kearse, exactly. It finally worked. But I think the key to it working is Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
I think he's able to maximize and weaponize those talents in his hybrid positionless football scheme. I think before that, the Cowboys had a hard time with their philosophy of let's find a safety for cheap. And by the way, you have to in the NFL, you have to have some positions in a salary cap league that you try to get on the cheap.
Yeah.
But the safety is that for the Cowboys. It's always a position that they're not going to throw a lot of money in.
They never look
do.
at them that way.
They want to bargain there.
Yeah.
They want to bargain there. And they got 3 of the best in the NFL right now.
No doubt.
They
No
got
doubt.
3 of the best bargain safeties in the league.
I told you last year was the first year that I really watched Donovan Wilson grow up, and he took it by storm.
He played well.
Yeah, he was the number 2. You're right. It wasn't 100th. He was drafted in the 6th round by the Cowboys, 213th overall.
Exactly. They always want to value
Yeah.
there. They
Yep.
this is how the Cowboys operate. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But it is they never see a safety they like enough to take early in the draft. And then on the free agent market, you talked about it, whether it be a trade or free agency, they don't really value safety there. They wait till the end of free agency and go find a Malik Hooker
Yep.
or a Jaron Kearse, or it was Keanu Neal a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And it worked. It's worked for him, but only with Dan Quinn. Before that, as Harsh mentioned, it was a disastrous
it was been
philosophy.
terrible. Yeah.
Terrible philosophy.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I don't know, they learned something from it.
Well, the name to pay attention to, continue to watch it, Jordan Poyer, find out where he ends up because he is an unrestricted free agency, and I think he's going to end up with a team that is going to put him over the top. And a name that didn't pop up in there, which I'm kind of shocked, was Derwin James. Derwin James just got paid too.
Yeah, he should be in there.
Yeah, he should definitely
Well,
be
I
one
wonder
of those
if that's like
safety.
just a mistake.
It has to be.
Because he's a Mulligetta guy, too. isn't
Yeah,
he?
he is. That's what I'm saying.
And
I
Mulligetta
know.
don't play.
He gets their money.
Mulligetta get you paid.
Yes, he does.
I think they call him Money Mulligetta.
I need to get with money, Mugaleta.
Yeah, we need to get to
Yeah.
Money Mulligetta.
No
All
doubt.
right, we come back. We'll get into Off the Record on the other side. This is a fantastic story. Also has a Austin connection, but we'll get into it. It is definitely a new age millennial story, but I'm sure all you old heads like myself will have some fun with it. Right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Yep.
Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Everyone knows that my favorite tequila is Hot Cat Tequila. The cat stands for cinnamon, agave, nectar, and tequila, and the recipe just as simple and just as delicious, just as brilliant. It's just cinnamon, agave, nectar, and tequila. That's why it's so light and so smooth. Sometimes it's a little too smooth. It's a tequila lover's dream. If you're not a fan of tequila, Hot Cat Tequila will make you a fan of tequila. It turns any event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. And once you try Hot Cat, you can't go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you were ordering rounds of when you were just trying to get the party started. So turn up your party with Hot Cat Tequila. It's the perfect way to pregame for all the big games, concerts, festivals, or a night on the town with family and friends. Hot Cat Tequila is best served cold for a quick round of shots or to sip on the rocks. So visit cattequila.com. That's cattequila.com to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. Toast and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Time for a little off the record. Gentlemen, are you or have you ever been gamers? Have you been classified as a gamer in your life at one point?
I mean,
yeah, I played video games, but I was never a gamer.
No.
Yeah, I was
think it's a
never good.
difference.
I was never good enough to be a gamer.
I was pretty good at some of them, like the sports games. We'd play Halo a ton. I was good at Halo back in the day.
I was a
Mario
Madden
Kart.
guy. I was a Madden
I was a
and
Madden
NCAA
guy.
guy.
Yes, I was good at Madden. I had my games I was good at, but I was never a gamer. To me, gamer means it's a lifestyle, man.
Yeah.
Like it's
This is what you do.
this is what you do.
Yeah, I
This is
usually
what you do.
get the next console or whatever later than everybody else does.
Yes, it's not a
And
priority
then it's
for
like,
you.
and then it's like when they're like, "Hey, man, Madden doesn't come out on that console anymore." I'm like, "Oh, all right, I'll get a new console."
They're like, people are updating you about, oh, you don't know Madden doesn't play on that console. You're like, oh, I didn't know that. So, yeah, so I'm with you. That's how I am too. And obviously now I don't play games at all. You got kids though, Hard. So
Yep.
you probably get on the game every now and then.
No, I try to avoid them as much as I possibly can because my son likes to talk a lot of trash.
Oh, you don't
And
like
I
that.
I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail.
Your son does talk a lot of trash. He talks
talks a
trash
lot.
to me.
Yeah.
When I first met him, I'm like, bro, I just met you. Why
man,
you
I've been
trash
doing my
talking me?
research on you,
yeah,
dog.
he does, man. He does. Okay, so how about this? Apparently, the former Westlake chap and Illinois forward Matthew Mayer is he's a gamer.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know this was a thing. So apparently he's missed a couple of days of practice. He returned to practice yesterday after sitting out 2 days with what was labeled, I don't even know if it was diagnosed, but labeled as caffeine poisoning. I BS you not. Here is Illinois forward Matthew Mayer explaining why he was out sick because of caffeine poisoning.
I've actually been sick the last few days. I had caffeine poisoning. I literally had 6 Monsters the day of the game. I only had 1 before, but I had 5 after because I like a caffeine-induced euphoria to play video games in. And so I could barely get out of bed the next day. It was like basically like a caffeine hangover. And so this is my first day of practicing since then.
A
That is
caffeine-induced
fantastic.
euphoria so I could play the game.
5 Monsters after the game just to get on the game.
Because he only took 1 before the game.
To get pumped up. So he needs 1 to get pumped up for the basketball game, but he needs
5
5 to play the video game?
This is why
Whoa.
drugs can't be legal. This is why. Because that dude found a legal drug. He's like, look, this is low key enough that I won't. He's like, what's the most caffeine filled thing? Monster Energy. I'm just going to pound 5 of them in a row. Like, dude, that's drugs.
That's
you can't
drugs.
do that.
Wow. 5?
Yeah.
5.
There's got to be some warning on the can about that.
Also, if I tried to do that, not only would I probably have a heart attack,
I would definitely.
my gaming would be disturbed by me having to pee every 14 seconds for
you're
drinking
old.
5 Monster
because you're an old
Energies.
man. Or maybe he's
Goodness
wearing. Maybe he's so
gracious.
obsessed with the game he's wearing adult diapers. Now that would be a new obsession.
That means
Oh, you
that
know
you
what?
died,
That's
you're
a cla-
dialed in.
That's a classified as an addiction. If he has
Yeah.
adult diapers, so he doesn't
You know
have to
what?
go to the
You know what he
bathroom,
has?
that's addiction.
He's got a pickle jar.
Pause the game real quick, guys. Give me a second.
Yeah, I'll be right here.
Okay, so is this disturbing though? From because like I said, you can be addicted to anything. We know
Yes.
this now. I have an addictive personality.
Caffeine
Yeah.
is a drug.
So I gotta watch that kind of stuff too, because I was like, man, I've been doing this for a long time, and I got an obsessive behavior about it. This is this is obsession. I mean, no question.
Yeah.
Should he try to curb this behavior?
Yes. Yes. Once you have to miss time because of it.
A caffeine. I never even heard of this before.
No, I haven't either. I mean, it's going to be a thing now.
It's
It's going to be, hey, watch the local news in like 2 weeks. Children
kid.
around the planet or children around the U.S. are
Yes.
feeling a caffeine euphoria.
That's how he described it, and he
Yeah.
described it in a way that he's done it before, but this time it backfired on him somehow.
Yeah, I
he
feel
was,
like-
he was
Yeah, because
dehydrated or
his body
something.
said,
He was-
hey, dude,
he just
you
played a
just
game.
had 6
And you
of
did-
them in one day.
And I bet he was really dehydrated.
Yes.
How can you not be dehydrated? You played a game.
Yes.
So you basically ran a few miles and then went back and drank 5 Monsters after you ran a couple of miles and probably was sleep deprived too.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
don't know. He probably stayed up, I don't know, all night long playing the damn game.
Well, because if you drink 5 Monster Energies after a basketball game. So I don't know what time the game ended. I'm guessing this has got to be a weekday game or a weekend game,
I'm
right?
assuming, yeah.
It's got to be a Saturday, like
yeah, I'm
earlier in the
assuming,
day.
Yeah.
you're still like you're not going to bed till 5 a.m. minimum.
No, you're wired after a game in Harsh. So you're wired.
Yes.
After
You
a
still
game,
can't shut it down
You can't
yet.
shut it down, so you're
No.
wired anyway. So that's probably what he does to kind of decompress, is get on the game. But instead of decompressing, it actually gets him all amped up again. Obviously,
Unbelievable.
man, that's yeah, dude. That's
What do you
yeah,
think
watch
it
that.
smells like when you sweat after drinking 6 Monster Energies?
Oh,
Because like whatever you eat or drink, when
Yeah,
you
you
sweat, if you eat or drink a lot of something, you just kind of smell like it afterwards.
oh, I've experienced it.
Yeah. So
ain't-
like, does he just
It
smell?
ain't a good smell.
It ain't a good smell. I don't know what it smells like for that, but I remember after losing a game and then going to crawl before you walk, where you have to crawl on your hands and knees and then say "I love Texas" like 5 to 10 times every 10 yards, then go back to bear crawling, and we would do that till Mad Dog got tired, which guys be throwing up and passing out on the side, and you would just smell of alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
Of people, you would smell it, and we do it on the football, like out in DKR. It's straight up disrespecting the spirit of DKR in that stadium, man, because it was reeked of vodka and tequilas and everything. It would make you throw up.
Yeah, because
Smell
it's
it,
so
you
bad.
smell them,
yeah.
and you already like, oh man, and then it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Can't deal with it.
Called it crawl before you walk. Every time we lost, we had to do that. We didn't lose a lot.
Yeah. I see why.
We ain't losing
The
a lot. no.
focus was there.
Oh man, that was brutal. All right, there you go. A little conversation about the gaming world and the gaming culture there. Caffeine poisoning.
Yeah, kids, don't do that.
Don't
Don't
that,
do that.
kids. Don't
It's-
do that.
no,
no.
do
And
not
you
do
know
that.
what? Yeah, don't. What's the time limit you give your kids on games, Harch? You time them?
No, I don't really time because he's responsible.
He's on
You
his
know
own.
what I'm saying?
Okay, he doesn't abuse it.
He does not abuse
Good for
that,
him.
and he's up early for school.
Good for him.
Makes straight A's, so I can't.
No
you know,
caffeine
there's
poisoning.
No, none of that. No, and he hates caffeine. He doesn't drink a lot of.
He don't need it.
He does. Yeah, he's.
He
yeah,
don't
I
need
do
it.
not need him
He's
on caffeine.
naturally a little wired anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Stay chill, bro.
No doubt. All right, we
Yeah.
come back. We got Texas basketball discussion that lost to TCU to short choice, declining a job offer in the NFL. We'll talk more about that right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Harge here for All Stat Beer. All Stat Beer is true German beer made here with 100% true German ingredients. It's brewed right in the Texas Hill Country, right up the road in Fredericksburg, Texas, at the Allstat Brewery off of 290. They have a beautiful state-of-the-art brewery. The brewery prides itself on its award-winning German-style beers. They also have an amazing fine dining restaurant that you should enjoy. And in the back, they got a tap room where you can try more flavors. Do yourself a favor and plan a tour today and see for yourself. Enjoy some great food with some great beer and, of course, bring some great friends. On the weekends, the brewery also has live music, so plan your trip today. Go to allstatbeer.com to find a local watering hole where you can enjoy some or where you can pick some up on your way home. Make Allstat your beer of choice. Allstat beer is made with 100% true German ingredients. That means German hops, malts, and yeast, and of course that natural hill country water. Allstat beer, no impurities, no regrets.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. New theme, Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's my man Patrick plays songs that's supposed to give us clues that lead us to the new theme for New Theme Thursday. And today, celebrating the Texas Independence Day. So all of the songs with Texas in the title, celebrating the great state. You can always be a part of the show. Hit us up on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. My man Patrick, the Idealionaire, is at It's Patrick Davis in the Twitterverse. I'm at Rod Davis in the Twitterverse. And you can cyberstalk my man Harge at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. We will talk about Texas men's basketball's big loss. It was a big one, too. To the TCU Horned Frogs last night, and also to Short Choi's latest report from Horns 24/7 that he was, and at least the report says that he was given an opportunity to coach at the NFL level for one of the most respected coaches in the NFL, and declined that opportunity to stay on the 40 acres. We'll talk about what that means. We'll also give you updates on the NFL Combine. 2 Longhorns have already participated in the on-the-field testing. That's Keandre Coburn and Moro Ojimo. We'll give you updates as to how they performed, and we'll also keep you abreast of what's happening with DeMarvion Overshown. We're waiting to see what testing numbers come out from DeMarvion Overshown. I believe he's already measured, so we got his height and his weight. We'll get into all that, the wingspan, but we haven't seen him test just yet, so we'll get into all that. But right now, on-field testing being done from the defensive linemen and the linebackers. We'll talk some more Combine in Raj Ram today. I'll talk about the main event of the NFL Combine. It is a made-for-TV event at this point, and the biggest premier event in the made-for-TV extravaganza that is the NFL Combine is the 40-yard dash. So we'll talk about the history of it a little bit and talk about the greatest all-time performances at the NFL Combine. You can win the NFL Combine in a big part of how you win the NFL Combine is the 40-yard dash. You also can lose the NFL Combine. Yeah, a lot of losers and a lot of winners. They need storylines at the Combine. They can't have a 4-day television event, and some of they put even in prime time without having storylines and narratives. So they create storylines and narratives. They rank all the players, and then that means ultimately we need winners and we need losers. So you can lose a lot of value and lose a lot of draft stock, unfortunately, too, with this made-for-TV event for the NFL. So we'll get into that and more, but you can always be a part of the show. The Specs text line 512-337-3776. Let's start with Texas basketball because I threw this number out there yesterday, Patrick, and it hit right on the money. That Texas was going into the game, Texas was 17-0 when allowing 74 points or fewer. And they were 5-7 when allowing more. TCU, on the other hand, 16-1 when scoring 75 points or more, 3-8 when they don't. They hit that number right on the head. It ended up being a 75-73 game. So those numbers ended up being a lot more accurate, unfortunately, for Texas. And it all started in that first half. We've talked about some of the limitations of this Texas roster. We talked about some of the character flaws of this Texas team. One of those unfortunate character flaws is their slow, sluggish start we've seen. They've been able to battle back with tremendous fortitude in the second half of some of these games. Even get double-digit comeback wins for the Longhorns, but it came back to haunt them again. Once again, that sluggish, lethargic start, and I can't believe with everything on the line, a possible share of the Big 12 title. We haven't even gotten into tournament seeding, but that's also something that suffered after that loss to TCU. With all that on the line, they didn't come out and play with a sense of urgency. Nope. The sense of urgency came after they realized the deficit and the hole they dug themselves. But, man, why does it take that to get this team to play with intensity to start a game? That's something that, unfortunately, has been an issue with them early in the season, and now even in March, it's still an issue.
Yeah, I mean, and I've talked about this before, but it's like I don't know why the pregame warm-ups are the same way they're doing them.
You did bring that up.
I don't get why you're not trying to change things up when you go, look, I know we're trying to be loose out there. I know we don't want to mess things up too much. But at a certain point when you go, hey, man, there is no urgency. There is no thought when we start this game. We're a different basketball team when we start the game. And it's not till we get punched in the face that we want to do anything. They don't rebound well. They don't really pass the ball well. They don't move without the basketball. No. They just don't do anything. And part of this goes to, well, your energy guys are coming off the bench. Christian Bishop, Brock Cunningham, and
Serge
Jabari Rice are all coming off the bench. So all of your energy guys are on the bench, and Dylan Mitchell is not going to be that guy. Tyrese Hunter's not going to be that guy. So it really falls down to Dylan Dessou, Marcus Carr, and Timmy Allen. And Marcus Carr and Timmy Allen like to hold the ball and think before they do anything. So that relies completely on Dylan Dessou being a guy to bring all the energy and get the entire starting lineup going. That is just not a formula. It has not worked going into these games. I get you don't want to mess things up this late in the season, but unfortunately Dylan Mitchell has not progressed the way we wanted him to this season. I get, and we can take a shot at Rodney Terry on that, but we can also say, look, he had to learn a different system halfway through the year of offense, and we know he wasn't a overly skilled offensive player coming into it. So I think the turmoil and the change of during the season definitely hampered his progression this year. He needs someone that needs a little bit more structure in what he wants to do. And you're the fourth guy. You're the youngest guy. You're playing with three seniors and a sophomore who was Big 12 Freshman of the Year last year.
Yeah.
Is who else is on the lineup, and you're walking in there and looking like the role may be too big for you right now.
Seems that way.
And so I may go, hey, look, I get you like having a spark plug off the bench, but you've got three of them. Maybe take one of those guys. Maybe take a Christian Bishop. Maybe take a Brock Cunningham, and just get someone on the court who's going to get out there and hustle from play one, who's going to fight for those rebounds and try and get the team a little bit more pumped up. I get Jabari Rice is the clear one, but I don't think you take out Tyrese Hunter. I think you take out Dylan Mitchell, and I don't like starting three guards and Timmy Allen. Like, that's just a really small lineup to start the game.
And you're already at a disadvantage when it comes to
and it messes up your minutes of rotation. Unless you want to start playing Arterio Morris a lot more minutes, the rotation there becomes a lot harder to do. But I like Dylan Mitchell. I think he's got a good future ahead of him, but his ability on offense has been a real sticking point at the beginning of these games because they just know we don't have to defend him. Like, all we have to do is basically make sure we're keeping an eye on him if he tries to back cut to the basket. So if he's going to try and make a cut and dunk, but if he's not dunking, we're not worried about it.
Basically, that guy's a help defender.
Yeah.
Whoever's defending
And so it hurts on all the drives. It hurts when you're able to rotate off of things and not worry about it as much. So that's something I'd look into. I don't know, you're really far into the season.
Yeah, you're a little deep into it now.
To do it now,
Yeah.
But something like that, just to try and shake it up and go, hey, man, we cannot keep starting this slow. So maybe put a Brock Cunningham and just go, hey, man, this is the fire of the team. This is the guy who wants to go and will die for any loose ball. Maybe he can get this team a little bit more amped up to start the game.
Yeah, you got to do something because, like I said, we thought this would remedy itself with the leadership on the team, and I think early on people were saying, well, you can change up the rotations a little bit, you can change up the starting lineup a little bit, but at this point now we're in March. It is March officially. I don't know if there is a solution really for them to throw out there this time other than, hey, guys, we just got to emphasize faster, quicker starts, more energy, more intensity defensively, offensively. But and they've had slow starts and have been able to recover, and they recovered in this game. They actually brought it back to within a single possession multiple times. They held TCU to 20%, actually under 20% three-point percentage in the second half, under 30% field goal percentage in the second half. So the second half, they come out and they're dialed up, they're intense. Yeah. The scheme is more crisp. You can tell the adjustments have been made. They got to find a better way to start. Otherwise, in the Big 12 tournament and ultimately in the Big Dance, man, they're going to have an early exit somehow because trying to battle back from that deficit is just a Herculean task that just, you can tell it takes it out of them. By the time they get to clutch time, they got nothing left for clutch time. And they really did. They were in it in clutch time. They were right there. They were within 3 points right there in clutch time. And then TCU was able to, make plays and pull away from Texas. And the first half of the game, the reason that it was probably one of the worst first half starts Texas has had all year long, I don't think they won one definitive statistical category.
No.
They lost in the first half. They lost every statistical category to TCU in the first half. I'm talking about field goal percentage, three-point percentage, rebounding, defense, offense, second chance points, bench points, fast break points, steals. Everything. Doesn't matter. And to me, that just shows a lack of focus, but also a lack of intensity. I'm not going to say a lack of effort. I'm sure the guys were trying, but lack of intensity and the focus early on. And with everything on the line, and this is the first time you've lost back-to-back games all year long, so that's also a disturbing, troubling trend at this point in the season.
Yeah, no, I mean, and this is the problem is you have to be able to figure out ways to manufacture offense when you're not moving the ball. And I think all of the points of just not having that urgency in the first half to not get down 12 points, to not get down to where you're fighting back. And there was a lot. We can talk about that 3-point percentage for TCU in the first half, that there was some big threes. Jabari Rice hit a big three, and they went back down the court and answered. And Marcus Carr hits a big three, and they walk back down the court and answer. And both those, if you can play better defense and you can, and I get your defense was set up that they don't hit threes, let them take them. That's the way the defense set up. Not the best way to, you still want to put a hand up. And I think that's part of the slow start and part of when this team gets complacent and goes, we'll just let him out. It's like, still run out on him. Still go make the effort.
Finish the play.
I get you have to at least show pressure. Yeah. You don't want to go out there and foul him, but you at least want to go out there and show him pressure. And they weren't even doing that at points during that game. I don't know how you don't get up for that game.
Exactly.
I don't get it. I don't know how you go, we can't win the Big 12 title out right now because Kansas won. Guess we shouldn't try to win it. Because now you're having good potential to be a 4 seed in the tournament now.
It could.
You went from you could have been the 1 seed to the 4 seed. That is a large drop because you just didn't want to show energy. Now, the positive of it is they played a really bad game.
They had bad first half.
Well, bad first half. They didn't play a great second half either. They had a lot of down parts in that second half.
It was better, though, but you're right.
They played a better second half, and there was points where they showed up in it. They probably played 25, 30 minutes was bad, and 10 minutes was good.
Okay. I don't disagree
And they
with that.
were still in the game at the end. They were still in this game. So when you look at it and say, well, as bad as they played, they're still this team has all the talent and the ability. You have to clean up the problems and you have to take an urgency. And the real thing that's worrying about this is that lackadaisical starts is how you lose in tournament play. Because you say, we're projected to go here, so I guess we'll just wait till we get to that game and then try and prove them wrong. Instead of being like, oh no, everyone's trying to beat us. And they don't seem to have that urgency. Like when you play at Texas in the Moody and everyone's cheering for you, that's great. You have to realize everyone hates you more than the Moody is loud. In Texas, people hate Texas. You need to understand that you're playing everybody's best game. How many times season we go, well, that was the best shooting performance that team's had in a year.
And they're a veteran team.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it. I can't really understand the slow start, but if they were an inexperienced young team, I think it would be more excusable. It would be more of an excuse. They're a young team, man. They just haven't had the experience. Man, this is an experienced team. They've been there, done. They know what's at stake. That was supposed to be one of the strengths heading into March Madness. Oh no, this team is experienced. They got tournament experience. They know what it's all about. They know what's at stake. They're not going to let the pressure overwhelm them. We're not seeing the benefits of that experience right now.
No, we're not at all. And I mean, part of it too is I think, there's a time and a place to be cool, calm, and collected, and it's not once the game starts. And they too often seem to be still trying to be cool, calm, and collected when they snap up and go, all right, let's no mistakes, guys, no turnovers. And no turnovers, they immediately lead to turnovers because you're not reacting and doing things instinctually. You have to trust what you can do, because what do we see when this team playing its best? They're just going and they're fast.
They are.
They're real fast.
Swarm.
They're real fast when they're playing well, and when they're playing bad, they're real slow. And I don't know why they keep trying to start slow and be smart about it. No, just go, because you're getting decent shots. And you're not hitting them, but you have to keep trying to get those decent shots. And hey, man, if that three's not falling, get to the paint.
Get to the paint.
And if the paint's not falling and they got big guys up there, go get fouls.
And that's another thing too, that you had 19? I believe Texas was it 19 free throw attempts Texas had. I believe TCU made 18. I could be off about that, but it's really close there. And in the last game, Baylor actually made more free throws than Texas attempted. Just shows you the lack of the lack of the aggression, I should say, by the Texas players. Got to be more aggressive and try to get to the line, get in the paint. And they didn't really do that in the Baylor game, and we didn't do it enough in the TCU game either.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. It's
and what if I told you that, man, that Mike Miles would score just 1 point?
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. They did what they were supposed to do against Mike Miles.
They had a good game plan against Mike Miles.
But that's the problem is you have that, and other guys get open for three, and you have to at least put an effort against them. And they didn't do that in the first half, and they paid the price for it. And when they corrected that and said, all right, look, you guys, you're not even running out on them. Like, you're literally seeing a guy shoot a three, you realize how far away you are, and you turn at the basket, like for a rebound. You cannot do that.
Yeah, Texter here says, have y'all noticed that Texas has never had a real offense? It's just been whoever starting the point guard is dribble, pass. Oh no, shot clock goes out to shoot. Shot clock is about to go out. Shoot the ball.
That's not entirely true, but there are plays where that happens more. But yes, they do run plays. Like you can watch sets they have, and they're basic sets of how you're reading and a guy's guarding you when you're trying to run through. They do run them, but the problem is it's a basketball game. You're going to have 45, 50 possessions, right? You're not going to have 45, 50 plays.
Yeah.
So you have 7, 8 plays that you may run during a game, and you just kind of run them over and over again. It depends on how their defense is set up. And then you go through, and it's a screen, and then a guy's supposed to pop out. But if that guy doesn't pop out,
it's option football.
Yeah.
You keep running the same plays over and over again. It changes because of the way the defense defends the play.
And with basketball, if a guy doesn't get off a screen, well, then that play's kind of dead to a point, and now you got to go to the second part. And then, once you get under 15 seconds on a shot clock and nothing's been created, yes, you have to go into dribble
ISO mode,
more, and you have to do that. I get, and the person who said this is Spurs fan Aaron, so I understand the wanting a offense. Very few teams in basketball anywhere have what the Spurs have or the Golden State Warriors have in offense.
Well, yeah. You're talking about the best case scenario.
Yes.
I would love Kansas City's offense.
I get because it says Spurs fan Aaron on the text line. And, I get as a Spurs fan, I agree. I'd love to see that, but it's just not very common.
We have remarked several times about how the ironic relationship between Texas basketball and Texas football, Texas men's basketball and Texas football, that Texas football's biggest issue was Sark having a remarkable opening script, which would give them big leads that they could sometimes could not hold, and Sark could not make the necessary adjustments in the second half, and he would lose the chess match within the game in the second half. Yet Rodney Terry is the antithesis of that, right? He's the bizarro Sark, where his teams have really slow starts, really bad starts, and he makes great adjustments. And in the second half, his team is able to at least make it a game, or even to come back and find a way to win the game. Yeah, and the texter here, I agree with him. He said if you could mix the football teams, mix the football team starts and the basketball teams close, you would have a perfect team. Yes, we know this. For some reason, we need Sark to advise Rodney Terry and Rodney Terry to advise Sark. Rodney Terry to advise him on adjustments and Sark to advise him on opening scripts and great starts to games. We might be on to something.
Yeah. And then, if we can get somebody to get both of them to start off a game.
To play an entire game? You mean both halves of a basketball game and 4 quarters of a football game?
No, but I'm saying how many first drives for Sark? Sark, you only had a good script, but his first drive was always a 3 and out pretty much.
He would, but there's a feeling out process too with Sark.
But that's what I'm saying. That start, and then Texas, if we could come out with the urgency and score on a first possession, both teams. I need both teams scoring on first possessions.
That would be good. That would be good. All right, Texas basketball loss, unfortunately, to TCU 75-73. We come back. We'll get into the NFL Combine. It is a made-for-TV extravaganza, and there are winners and losers of the NFL Combine. I'll explain what you have to do in order to win the NFL Combine, and we'll talk about some of the biggest winners in NFL Combine history. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. I want to talk a little bit about the combine. It's happening right now as we speak. The D linemen and the linebackers right now, they are performing, are competing in the drills, the testing, on-field testing for the NFL. And yes, I do say performing because it is a made-for-TV extravaganza. It's what the NFL has become. Sorry, the NFL combine has become. And with that being said, you can now officially almost like a true television competition, reality show competition, because the combine is basically the NFL's version of their reality show. You can win the combine. And there have been winners and losers all throughout the short history of the combine. And, you know, the biggest way to, or the easiest way, I should say, to win the combine is to win the 40-yard dash. That is the main marquee event of the NFL combine. And the truth is, more and more, the necessity of the 40-yard dash is, you know, it's, to me, I think as we get to more modern day technology, the necessity of it seems to be waning just a little bit. Now, the NFL scouts won't admit this, and the NFL won't admit it either. But the truth is, all these colleges, the major colleges, and hell, some of the ones that aren't major colleges, but major colleges, they all have GPS tracking devices and body monitors on all of these players when they're practicing, when they're working out, and in the games. They know how fast they're going. They know exactly how fast they're going in pads. I'm talking about down to the most exact and accurate millisecond. They know exactly how fast they are. And yet they put on these charades of this is how much the pinnacle of delusion is the NFL combine and the 40-yard dash. So think about it. I just told you they have body monitors to tell you exactly how fast players are running in games with pads on versus competition in real time. And yet, and at the combine, they also have electronic timing. They have digital timing at the combine. It's laser timing there too. And yet you will still have coaches with stopwatches and scouts with stopwatches at the combine. Why? I don't know. I have no idea. They got the laser time will be better than your hand time, and they'll still want to hand time it. That's the NFL in a nutshell. It's like, why are you going to hand time it when the digital laser timing is way more accurate than your hand time? Nah, I like my hand time. Okay. Usually, I think the digital laser time is always slower than the hand time. The hand time is always a little faster than the digital time. They don't care. They want to do it their way. That's the point of it. But it is the main event of the NFL Combine. They know that. And it's something about speed, no matter if it's in a car or in a plane or on foot, it sells. Speed is like sex. Speed is like sex and violence. It sells. We love it. It's something primal within us. We love to watch something fast, go up against something else fast, and race. We do. We can't describe why we like violence, but we do. Can't describe, well, we can tell you why we like sex, but there are certain things that are primal within us, and speed is one of them. And it's very relatable. Everybody at one point in their life, probably as a child, has raced another human being and tried to say, I'm faster than you, and tried to see how fast you were as a human being. So it's always a fascination and a fixation as well with us. So and NFL knows this. So they're like, oh, you know what? And the NFL used to sell sex and violence. Now they don't sell it anymore because they can't, have DVDs and videos they give out to the public are the most violent hits in the NFL because we don't celebrate that violent nature anymore. So the NFL used to sell sex and violence, cheerleaders on the sideline and the most violent hits in the NFL. They don't sell that anymore because now they sell fantasy football, they sell points, they sell quarterbacks, they sell speed. So that's what the NFL Combine is really about, and its main selling point is the speed element of the 40-yard dash. So you're just going to start looking at the 40-yard dash throughout the years and the fastest players in the 40-yard dash. And if it does indeed translate to the NFL, the truth is probably the first 10 to 20 yards of the 40-yard dash are the most important part of the 40. And after that, the rest of it is pretty meaningless. And if you're going to win the 40-yard dash, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win the combine by winning the 40-yard dash. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to end up being a great football player. And we'll get into that a little bit later on. But first, I want to talk about some of the players who've actually won the combine before. Remember last year, and you can be at any position. You can win the combine at any position. D-line, linebacker, running back, doesn't matter. Saquon Barkley did it. I think Bijan wants to win the combine. I think Bijan, like a lot of these young players, they grew up watching the combine. I never grew up watching the combine. The first time the combine was on TV was in 2004. I got drafted in 03. I grew up watching the combine. These young guys grew up watching the combine. They grew up watching guys win the combine. Ranked top 3 at every skill and every different test. That means something. Right? You get to, now at a made-for-TV event, you get to win the combine of 2020 or 2021. I never thought about it, but I guess if I grew up watching it, I'd probably want to win the damn combine too. That's why I think Bijan wants to go too. Not only wants to show everybody and show me and compete, and he loves the game, but he wants to win the damn thing. There's no prize though, really. I ain't gonna increase your draft stock, but there's no literal prize. Remember, Jordan Davis won it last year. 40-yard, Jordan Davis won it last year. It was 2 years ago. He had a 40-yard dash of 4.78 40 at 341 pounds. He had a 4.78 40 at 341 pounds. That was the guy that won the combine. Remember, you can. He actually at 341 pounds. They have, like I said, they have monitors on these guys, so they know how fast they're running at the actual combine too. They had him clocked at basically reaching a max speed during his 40-yard dash of 20.4 miles per hour at 341 pounds. That doesn't even seem like that's real. That dude was running 20 miles per hour at 341 pounds. I see why the Eagles decided, we're pulling the trigger on that guy. We're drafting that dude. Remember John Ross, famous. He has the fastest 40-yard dash time in the history of the combine at 4.22. So you could argue he won the combine that year in 2017, I believe it was. And now you can lose it. Yeah, you can lose the combine too. 1985, before it became a combine that was done in Indianapolis and the NFL decided to centralize all the different combines and workouts, Jerry Rice famously lost the combine. Ran a 4.68 in a crosswind, and everybody went, this is the dude y'all think going to be a first-round wide receiver? I don't think so. Now, the rest is history, because we know the 40 does not make the ball player. We know Jerry Rice is a prime example of that. 1989, Deion Sanders famously ran a 4.25 40-yard dash and exited the combine, left everybody with their jaws on the floor and with a limo waiting outside. And just left. Ran the 4.25, left, and went into the limo. Was like, yeah, y'all can catch me later on that. What about the interviews, Deion? Nah, I'm good. I think y'all saw what y'all need to see. Mike Mamula, 1995. One of the first who prepared specifically for the combine, was not a great football player, didn't really care about that. He just wanted to win the combine, and he did. He ran a 4.57 in the 40-yard dash. Very impressive for a defensive end at the time. Also, Vernon Davis. I remember this in 2006, 250 pounds, ran a 4.38 at tight end. Had a 42-inch vertical, and his draft stock just skyrocketed. And no notable tight end has even come close to beating that time since, I don't believe. I think that Evan Ingram ran a 4.42 at tight end, but Vernon Davis at tight end, that was some freakish stuff. The next year, Calvin Johnson. 4.35 at 6'3", 240. I mean, that's just freakish athleticism on a different scale. He's an alien. He's an avatar. Also, Chris Johnson ran a 4.24 at the running back position in 2008 and had a 35-inch vertical, 10-foot, 10-inch broad jump. That won the combine that year. J.J. Watt, 2011. He won that damn thing. He ran a 4.84, 37-inch vertical, 10-foot broad jump, 34 reps on the bench press at 6'5", damn near 300 pounds. That was impressive. And turns out it all translated for J.J. Now, and John Ross, like I said, he had famously has the fastest 40 at 4.22, but it's not considered the fastest 40 in the history of the combine. I know it's strange, right? The fastest 40 that has been documented at the combine they have on record is 4.22, but it is not known as the fastest 40 at the combine. Remember, I told you the combine existed before the 1987 one. They had 4 or 5 years of a combine before that. So the 1986 combine, prior to the 1987 centralized combine. All right. Bo Jackson reportedly ran a hand-timed 4.12 40-yard dash by some scouts. Landry Football had him clocked at a 4.19. Here's Bo Jackson. This is not his combine story. But it is a story for Bo Jackson himself talking about how fast he ran in front of scouts. And this is on ESPN, so he didn't give it that. He wanted people to try to call him out about it. Nobody's called out Bo about it. This is Bo Jackson talking about how fast he is.
You ran a 4.12.
Do you believe it?
4.13.
4.13. Oh, 4.13. You're a little bit slower than I thought. Let me make this mark here.
Just a microsecond slower than that. But actually, I was on my way to track practice. And they had to come by there. There had to be 20 to 30 guys there. And we were inside running. And the coach came and said, hey, Bo, we got a bunch of scouts here from all over the country. And we got a little come by here. They timing guys for the 40. Why don't you come in and run a 40 for them? Do I have to? Because I know you want me to come and run now, and I got to go run at track practice.
Right.
Because I practice with Harvey Glantz, who's a 76 Olympic gold medal winner from Auburn. And I'm thinking about, I got to chase this little cat all day and come in and run a 40. So I did. And I ran my first 40. And about 5 yards from the finish line, I kind of like let up and just cruised through. And I ran a 4.3. And I got down there, and so my coach, as I'm walking back, my coach is walking toward me. He said, hey, why don't you run the damn 40? Give these people what they want so they can leave me alone. Run the 40. So I said, all right. So I said, you got to open the back door, because they only had about 10 to 15 yards of space for you to stop once you cross the line. I said, you got to open the back door, because I can't stop in this distance if you want me to do it. So they raised the back door up open. And I told the guy that I was with, I said, get my bag and just go on and start walking, because I'm not going to stop and I'm not coming back. I'm just going to
keep on going.
Dropping the mic.
Yeah.
So I got down, and everything was done electronically. And I didn't find out till after practice, after track practice, what I had run. And some of the guys that had stopwatches, they had me at a 3.9 or 4 flat with stopwatches, but the electronic timer had got me at a 4.13.
This dude's running 4.1. 4.1 in the 40. So I know the official combine has, John Ross at 4.22, but man, Bo Jackson, before all that, the dude was, you running that damn fast, you might be able to run on water. That's legit. Darrell Green also, famously, who, I believe Darrell Green at 40 years old or something like that, ran a 4.4. He ran a 4.4 at 50. Sorry, he's 50 years old. He ran a 4.4. I didn't make that up. It's on YouTube. Go look it up. Crazy. Freaking speed. He also was clocked at a 4.15 famously. But of all the 40s I've looked up, those are, I believe, the 2 fastest 40s I've ever heard of in all the research I've done. 4.1. Doesn't always make you a great player, but damn. That is unbelievable. I ran a 4.46 at the combine, just for full disclosure. That was my official time, was a 4.46. I'd been clocked at a 4.38, 4.39 before, but that was my official time at the combine. And there's such a beautiful thing about football is, I've said this before, football speed is real. There's track speed. All these guys I'm mentioning, they got track speed, but football speed is real. There's a reason I watched Dre Bly cover Randy Moss. And Randy Moss famously ran, you're talking about one of those fastest human. He ran a 4.25. One of the fastest human beings on the planet. I would watch Dre Bly cover him on a post route. Because football speed is about what? It's an amalgamation of angles and trigonometry with kinesthetics and foot speed and, spatial awareness. It's like a whole bunch of different variables and factors thrown into one, and that'll give you football speed. Because you can diagnose angles, or you can diagnose a play faster than other guys. So that I have to, you can diagnose, the route combination, it's going to be a double post. So you can undercut, all right, the high post, because you saw based on the down and the distance and the formation and personnel package that they run this route. They have a tendency to run this route combination, this down and distance at this time, whatever it may be. So all of that contributes to football speed, which is not on display when you're just running the 40-yard dash. So that's why you got to watch the tape. But damn, speed. That's what the NFL is selling. You're going to see a ton of it. I don't think you'll see anybody break the record, but you're going to see some 4.2s. We'll go over this later on. There'll be a lot of guys who are going to be in a position to win the combine when the DBs and the wide receivers start running their 40-yard dashes. And the wide receivers are probably where you'll get the fastest 40 this year. Usually your fastest, 40s come from wide receivers. I'll give you a little stat, though. There's only one wide receiver who's sub 4.3 in NFL history. That's a Hall of Famer. Randy Moss. That's it. So we start thinking about, oh man, wide receivers and speed. Yeah, it's a little overrated at that position. The 25 fastest wide receivers in combine history, there's only 1,000-yard receiver out of the top 25. Santana Moss. That's it. Speed. It's a good data point. It's a good thing to have, but it's not a end-all, be-all at the receiver position. The art of route running and creating separation, in my experience, that's what separates receivers from one another. Having speed at wide receiver is like being well endowed. Doesn't make you a great lover. It helps, but that doesn't necessarily make you a great lover to be well endowed. There's a lot of other things that play a role in you being a great lover, just like there are a lot of other things that play a part in you being a great wide receiver. Both are a craft. Got to cultivate both. We come back. We'll get into Tashard Choice, making the choice to stay here on the 40 acres. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my friends over at Apple Leasing. They know that time is money, and they're in the business of saving you both. They're going to save you time, save you money, but also find you great value and help you navigate this really crazy and difficult car market that we're living in today. Apple Leasing has the ability to put you in any make or model vehicle that you want. They can even give you an estimate on the value of your trade-in right over the phone. It's a beautiful business model they have over there at Apple Leasing, and all it takes is one phone call or one click on Apple Leasing's website, and you'll get a quote on any make or model vehicle that you want. They can even give you an estimate on the value of your trading, like I said, right over the phone. Now, they have what they call their simple interest easy lease. It makes life, simple because it gives you more flexibility, which is going to give you more possibilities and options to help you find the vehicle that fits you best, but more importantly, the vehicle that fits your budget best. Now, inflation, that's out of control. We all know it's never been more expensive to buy a new car, buy a used car, buy anything for that matter. So leasing actually makes more sense than ever. You're only paying for the part of the car you're actually using. So call Apple Leasing today at 512-346-9977 and let them see how much money they can save you. They get all the same discounts and all the same incentives that the dealers do, except my friends at Apple Leasing, they pass those savings right on to you, the customer. So give them a call, 512-346-9977, or visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com.
want to tell you about Texas radio and the Big B.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new theme Thursday, and based on these song selections my man Patrick plays for us, we're supposed to gather clues and hints that lead us to the new theme of the day. This one was pretty easy. It is Texas Independence Day, so just songs with the great state of Texas in the title. It's a beautiful thing. So you can always be a part of New Theme Thursday. Hit us up on the Specs text line. It's the best place to do it, 512-337-3776. We'll get you some updates on the Longhorns and their performance at the NFL Combine. We'll do that on the other side. Also talk about DeMarvion Overshown meeting with the Dallas Cowboys. Apparently they like him. Bijan Robinson odds, where he'll be drafted in the NFL draft. And Mike McCarthy speaking out about Kellen Moore and Brandon Cooks potentially up for trade with the Houston Texans and the Cowboys. Maybe one of the teams interested in trading for one Brandon Cooks. So we'll talk about that and more coming up next segment. But first, let's get into this story. I got it from Horns 24/7, so shout out to them, doing a really good job. And it says that the short choice is set to return in 2023 for Texas. That's no big surprise because we hadn't heard anything otherwise. But my man Chip Brown over at Horns 24/7 is reporting that the short choice was offered the LA Rams running backs coaching job and turned it down to stay at Texas. Remember, Rashad Samples was the running backs coach there. I believe he left to take a gig somewhere else, and now Sean McVay is looking for a running backs coach. This is really good news. Your last two running backs coaches on the 40 acre, Stan Drayton and Tashard Choice, have been highly coveted to the point Stan Drayton ended up with a head coaching job. But not only that, both of these guys have been killing it on the recruiting trail at the running back position. So in the last 4 years, you've had the top running back in the country twice with two different running backs coaches. Stan Drayton recruited Bijan, top running back in the country, and Cedric Baxter, top running back in the country in the 2023 class. He had been recruited by Tashard Choice, and he is already on campus. So those guys can just straight up recruit. I mean, they really can. And I believe right now you are in the running, because the short choice is such a dynamic recruiter, you are in the running to be a finalist for the recruitment of one Jarek Gibson is his name. He is a Florida running back, and also right now he is ranked the number one running back in the country. So, hey, man, keep stockpiling running backs. Remember, Sark says running back is the most underutilized position in the passing game. And he wants to, use more running backs. And last year, I'll throw it out there because nobody has been advocating for more Moti back sets and two tailback sets than Rod B, yours truly. This year, their most explosive and most effective personnel grouping was easily 21 personnel, two backs, one tight end. You're talking about, if you look at yards per play, you were at over 8 yards per play out of 21 personnel. You were 7 yards per play when you were in multi-back sets. Your explosive play rate, 21 personnel, 23%, over 23% in 21%, over 16% in any multi-back sets. You were just yards per attempt throwing the ball, 11.5 yards per attempt out of 21 personnel. Any multi-back sets, you were over 10 yards per attempt. You were really good out of multi-back sets, and now you lost Rojo and Bijan, which were the reason you were so effective in those multi-back sets or those two tailback sets. But now that you're still stockpiling talent at the running back position. Still got Jonathan Brooks there, you got Jaden Blue there, you got Killian Robinson, now you got Cedric Baxter. You can bring in more top backs. No need to disregard the two tailback sets or the 21 personnel package when they've been so effective for you the last couple of years. So hope Sark keeps that around. And if he keeps recruiting running backs like this, there's no reason to think he won't continue to use those packages, even though in the Alamo Bowl, Coach Steven reared his ugly head, and we did not see any multi-back sets, no two tailback sets, no 21 personnel, and lack of creativity and a lack of imagination overall in the running game for Texas. So throwing it out there. All right, we'll come back. We can talk more about that conversation. We'll also get into DeMarvion Overshown meeting with the Cowboys, Bijan Robinson odds, Mike McCarthy speaking about Kellen Moore, all of that right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. New theme Thursday. My man Patrick, the Idealionaire, plays songs and selections that are supposed to give us clues and hints to lead us to the new theme of the day. We got it pretty easy today. Most Texans would have songs with the great state of Texas in the title to celebrate Texas Independence Day. Oh, yeah, this is good. My woman loves her some Leon Bridges. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
a pretty talented guy.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No question about it. Like this jam, too. Patrick basically was doing his best to find a diverse group of songs with Texas in the title. A lot of country songs with Texas in the title.
Yes.
Yeah, but you went out of your way and you found a lot of Texas Third Coast hip-hop songs with Texas in the title, but not PG-13 enough for the radio.
Not arable.
Yes, there you go. And we ain't getting fired for that. No.
No, and I didn't want to play a song that you can't hear any of the words in.
Yes, no. I think I know some of those songs that you were actually talking about, too. Some of my favorite Third Coast jams representing the great state of Texas. You can represent on the Specs text line 512-337-3776. You also can hit us up via Twitter. I'm at Rod Davis in the Twitterverse. My man Patrick at It's Patrick Davis Harge is out and about, but you can cyberstalk him at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. All right, now I just got done talking about the Tashard Choice story, and I think it's phenomenal that Tashard Choice, who is a fast-rising star in the coaching world, passed up and shout out to Horns 24/7 because they're the ones who reported, passed up an opportunity to coach on Sean McVay's staff. And we all know being on Sean McVay's staff, I mean, that's going to increase your stock. I'll just say that. Having him on your resume as being a coach under Sean McVay can only help your fast, meteoric rise as a coach. And he decided to pass on that job, and he's coming back here to Texas. And I think one of the big reasons was he not only likes it here, but he likes the culture, but I think he's building something special, especially after the first year here was with Bijan and Rojo. How could that not feel special? So I think he actually wants to build something, and give props to Sark, because Sark has done a good job of hiring coaches so far. I criticize his Andre Coleman hire, or at least him retaining Andre Coleman more than anything. But he upgraded that position immediately with Brendan Marion, somebody who I endorsed, thought that was a good hire. And I love the hire they just made at the wide receiving coach position. So Sark has actually made good hires, and I think it's now you're starting to see some of the benefits of having such a well-respected staff. There have been 2 or 3 different coaches who've received some head coaching or some love at the next level to be promoted to another opportunity at coach. So he's getting guys that are coveted and guys who are obviously doing really, really well and are well respected in the industry. Speaking of, since I can't believe Sean McVay's looking for another running backs coach. I've been keeping track of Sean McVay's coaching changes just real quickly, because we'll get to some Longhorn football nuggets here and talk combine. There's never been a coach in NFL history that has dealt with as much coaching turnover as Sean McVay. It's not possible. I mean, in his first 6 years, so this will be going into his 7th year in 2023. He's still the youngest coach in the NFL, too, I believe, which is crazy. He has had he's had 5 quarterback coaches, and he's moved a lot of these guys around to different positions too. So I'm just saying he's had 5 different ones. They're not all 5, it's not 5 different coaches every time that he's hired, because some of these guys he's promoting from within the staff, and he's moving guys around and delegating in different ways. But he's had 5 different guys coach the quarterback position under him, 3 different OCs, 3 DCs, 2 O-line coaches, now working on his 4th running back coach, 3 tight end coaches, 2 D-line coaches, 3 cornerback coaches, 3 safety coaches, 3 linebacker coaches, 3 different special teams coaches, and 2 strength and conditioning coaches. The only position coach where he has had no turnover is his wide receiving coach, Eric Yarber. That's it.
Yeah. Well,
nobody wants that guy.
Hell, he's almost left this program twice. He has almost walked away from this Rams team twice now.
Yeah, and not exactly. It's crazy. Right. It's a good point. Twice now. He's
twice now he's done the I don't know.
And I think a lot of it is this. I think it's exhausting.
I think
to
it's
keep replacing your coaching staff over and over again.
Yeah.
It's exhausting, man.
Yeah,
right?
Especially when you're calling up guys in college and they're saying no.
Yeah, that actually I bet shocked Sean McVay a little bit that he said no to him. But Texas is Texas.
It is, and
compete.
it's it's not a promotion. It's running back coach to running back coach. So it is to the NFL, but it's not a. You're not giving me an extra running back coach and passing game coordinator, running back coach, and
that's true.
I need an and in there.
And that's a good point. And give you your extra and. The college assistant, like position coaches, they pay as much as NFL coaches, if not more.
Yeah.
So that, to your point, is like, I need a promotion, and I'm probably gonna need a raise. It's just surprising to me that Sean McVay's his aura didn't get him to short choice the coach that he wanted for that job. Usually, Sean McVay just got to make the call, and you go, oh, it's Sean McVay. I'm definitely going because it's definitely gonna increase my stock as a coach. I was looking at Bill Walsh's first 6 years from 1979 to 1984. Even Bill Walsh, who famously had some of the greatest coaching staffs in the history of the NFL, even he did not have the turnover that Sean McVay's had. He only had 2 quarterback coaches in his first 2 years, 2 running backs coaches, 3 wide receivers coaches. He only had 1 O-line coach. That was big. Yeah, that was big. 2 D-line, 2 DCs, 2 linebackers coaches, 2 DB coaches, 3 actually special teams coaches, 2 strength and conditioning coaches. And he added another D-line coach. He had 1 D-line. So how about this? So Bill Walsh was smart. His first 6 years, only 1 O-line, 1 D-line coach. But he had a lot of turnover everywhere else, but he kept his lines of scrimmage together.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, he knows.
It's an important place.
Yeah. Bill Walsh knew. He's like, I got to keep. And I believe Sean McVay, only 2 different O-line coaches, and one of those guys retired.
Okay.
One of those guys left him on his own. Like, he didn't get promoted. I think he just randomly retired on his own and left coaching, period. So that's not all his fault either. So he probably only had 1 O-line coach, too. He's had 2 D-line coaches. So he's been kind of like Bill Walsh, where he hasn't had a lot of turnover on the lines of scrimmage coaching, but at all the skill positions and everywhere else, he's had a ton of turnover. Quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, all that kind of stuff.
I do wonder how much, like, for being the Rams, how much of it has to do with, too, where it's like, well, I have to live 45 minutes away, so every single day is an extra hour and a half, 2 hours of work. Even, like, whenever I leave, I have to drive so much in traffic. So the burnout happens a lot quicker where you want to get out because you're just like, man, there is so, like, it's just, I work so much, and then even when I'm off, I'm in my car.
That's why Kobe got a helicopter.
Yeah.
I mean, God rest his soul, but that was literally, that was the reason. He's like, I can't get to all my appointments and get where I need to be. I'm losing too much time in the day by traveling via car, and it's why he's like, helicopter saves me so much time. So, So, I'm with you on that. Taxes. Yes. Texter here, great text says, what about the taxes, man? Not to mention the Cali taxes. Yeah, you're right about that. That's a good point there, too. As a matter of fact, there's an NFL player, Jordan Poyer. We were just, my man, Harsh was talking about that in Harsh Knock Life. He literally complained about the taxes. He's like, I want to go somewhere without a state tax, pretty much. He's like, I'm trying to go somewhere without a state tax. So, that's why he's open to being recruited by teams who are in states where they don't have such high tax liability. All right, let's continue our conversation about the Combine. We'll give you some updates on it. But first, I want to get into DeMarvion Overshown. Now, we have not gotten testing numbers about DeMarvion Overshown, so I won't give you those just yet. But he did point out the Cowboys were one of the teams that was really intrigued by DeMarvion Overshown. He was asked about at the Combine what teams are really interested in you, what teams have been bringing you in for interviews, and he said the Cowboys. He said, quote, I've talked to the Cowboys a lot. I've seen him, he said, Dan Quinn, I've seen him a lot around Texas, the facility while I was there, so being able to chop it up with him during formal interviews and then talking to them at Reese's Senior Bowl, that defense is amazing, and being able to play along some of the guys, it would be fun. He also went on to say, at the meetings, all they did was, he said, we really just watched my film. They talked about how they love my relentless effort, and there's a lot that they can do with me in their system. It was a great overall formal interview with them. I totally believe this because you guys have heard me talk about it time and time again that Dan Quinn has evolved his football ideology, and he believes in positionless football. When he was with Atlanta, Devondre Campbell, who's the all-pro now with the Green Bay Packers, when he was in Atlanta, Dan Quinn was moving that guy around the front a ton, much like he does with Micah Parsons now, but that was in 2019. And then serendipitously, he gets with the Cowboys, and they draft the best positionless defender, best positionless football defender in the NFL in Micah Parsons, and now Dan Quinn's vision can be executed because he has a vision to weaponize the hybridism of Micah Parsons, and now he uses that same kind of philosophy with other players. When he had Keanu Neal, that was kind of the philosophy behind Keanu Neal, was a linebacker/safety hybrid. That's why he loves Israel Mukuamu, the young safety who's 6'4", 215. They call him a J-Run Curse starter kit. As a matter of fact, that's why he likes having those three safeties, J-Run Curse, Donovan Wilson, and Malik Hooker, because safeties make you versatile. As a matter of fact, I got a quote here from John Schneider, the Seahawks GM, who at the Combine just yesterday, he was being asked about safety because they pay a lot of money to the safety position. Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams, they really believe in paying safeties. He said safety is the biggest utility position a team could have. He said right now it's the most versatile position in football on defense. It makes you multiple. So that's why Dan Quinn plays like 40% big nickel, big dime packages, which are 3 safety packages, because it makes you malleable on defense. And I think, for a guy like DeMarvion Overshown, if he ends up with Dan Quinn, honestly, that's a perfect system fit for him. But it shows you Dan Quinn is still all in on his positionless football philosophy, drafting hybrids like DeMarvion Overshown. I would love that fit. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not sure he is going to be drafted by them in that place.
Oh no, not high. Yeah, he won't be a high pick. No, he won't be a high pick.
But yeah, I think he might go before they would take him.
Yeah, because they need
some other things, and I don't know if they're going to address that up front. But yeah, I'd love to see it. I think he would go well in that defense.
He would. He'd be a great fit. But you're right. Early on, I expect in the first round, you never know what the Cowboys. They like getting the best player at the position, so they can do anything in the first round. But I don't think it'll be obviously a linebacker like DeMarvion Overshown. He's going to be for them a 3rd or 4th round pick, but they may start looking at that.
And that's the thing is, I think he for them is probably a day 3 guy, not a day 2 guy.
Agreed.
And he and DeMarvion Overshown might go day 2. And that says someone else might be more high on him, might take him in day 2 and round 3. And if he goes, I think the Cowboys would look for that more stuff on day 4 when Jerry Jones getting tired. And it's like, Dan, just pick somebody.
No, you are right, though. You're right about that. The Cowboys do have other priorities. They got other necessities right now.
And they don't have a lot of extra draft picks.
Yep.
So they basically have their 1st, 2nd, and 3rd pick. I think they're going to have some extras in the 5th is when I think they'll get, and they reach out a little bit more.
You're right. They do have those. They got like some 6th round picks that they got from compensatory picks. You're right. I remember those. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully DeMarvion Overshown doesn't fall that far. We'll see because he's about to run his 40, and I'll give you some of those updates here in a second. Let's talk about, since we're talking about the Cowboys, let's talk about Kellen Moore just really quickly. There's probably some breaking news pretty soon. I just got a text. Okay. Let me text him back, and I'll see if I can.
Okay. See if we can
verify. If I can relay that information, I don't know if I can relay it. I just got the text and I was like, "Oh, that's breaking news. That's significant." All right, I'll get you that later, and if I can't give it to you, then I'll try to give you clues and hints. How about that? We'll play a little game, radio charades.
Hey, new theme Thursday.
Seriously, try not to reveal your sources of your breaking news. All right, so Mike McCarthy, he's at the Combine. He's answering a lot of different questions, and he was asked about Kellen Moore, and this is the quote that got him. It's not got him in trouble, but it's making the rounds. Quote: I've been where Kellen has been. Kellen wants to light the scoreboard up, but I want to run the damn ball so I can rest my defense. I think when you're a coordinator, but you're in charge of the offense. Being a head coach and being a play caller, you're a little more in tune with everything. I don't desire to be the number 1 offense in the league. I want to be the number 1 team in the league with a number of wins and a championship. He said, and if we got to give up some production and take care of the ball better to get that, then that's what we'll do because we have a really good defense. I'll say, we were talking to Goose Goslin earlier this year, and I said to him, I wonder if the Cowboys, they see the football world the way I see it, where if you break down all the teams that have won Super Bowls, there's basically 2 commonalities to Super Bowl winners. There are exceptions to every rule, but for the most part, there's a common denominator for Super Bowl champions: elite quarterback play or elite pass rush. Most most Super Bowl champions, I should say, fall in one of those categories in recent years. And the Cowboys are probably closer to being a team with an elite pass rush than they are to being a team that can win a Super Bowl with an elite quarterback. And Goose Goslin agreed with me. He said, oh, yeah, you're definitely right. They should go pass rush because they got great pass rushers. Micah Parsons might be the most unique defender in all the NFL and one of the top 5 best pass rushers in all the league right now. And I wonder if this is the Cowboys recognizing that Dak does have a ceiling. He is limited, and that doesn't make him an average quarterback or a bad quarterback. He's limited, but he's still hovering around top 10 every damn year of being a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And I think maybe they believe taking some of the burden off of Dak and making the offense a lot less Dak-centric could that possibly bring the best out in Dak? Because right now, the more responsibility you've put on Dak within this offense. Because, right, your running game last year suffered because Zeke's just not the same back that he was. And you don't have the same weapons when you trade away Amari Cooper. So your weaponry isn't as lethal as it once was. So there's more on Dak to make a play. When you're putting more of the responsibility on Dak to go out there and make plays in crucial situations, when you are playing elite competition in the playoffs, you don't get that big Dak energy, right? You're getting inconsistent Dak. You need big Dak energy consistently in the playoffs versus elite competition. And I believe that Mike McCarthy right now, he believes he can bring out the best in Dak. He can bring out that big Dak energy, and he can have it be sustained, all right, throughout a long period of time. Or at least a longer period of time than Kellen Moore could sustain that big Dak energy. Because he says about 30% of the offense is going to change. And I believe the 30% he's talking about is specific concepts that can highlight the strengths of Dak and that can minimize his weaknesses, which is play action, getting Dak on the bootlegs and the waggles and the rollouts, more RPOs within the offense, and really trying to emphasize, all right, a better, more effective running game. I don't know if he wants to run the ball more. I think he just wants to run the ball better.
Well, let's be real. They don't have a running back right now. They have Zeke Elliott, who they should cut, and they have Tony Pollard, who's a free agent. So they don't even have a running back to base any of this. We're going to run the ball more. So the question now becomes, well, do you franchise tag Tony Pollard by Tuesday? Do you sign Tony Pollard by Tuesday? Do you let Zeke Elliott go? If your plan is to keep Zeke Elliott and let Tony Pollard walk and hope you find somebody else, I don't think running the ball more is going to be the solution anyone's looking for. So you can say all this, but until I see the players who are going to be in your backfield, there's a certain part of it where it's like, yeah, you got to kind of play to your strengths. And, as of now, you have a wide receiver 1, you maybe have a wide receiver 3, and you have no running backs on your roster. Yeah. And you don't have a tight end either. I mean, if you want to say,
well, because you're gonna let Don show. Well, you got Jake Ferguson.
You have Jake Ferguson. So
you
have a tight end in training. That's not a lot of weapons on offense right now.
No, they're definitely gonna drop the wide receiver.
So you have to do a lot of these pieces on your offense to get some form of what you're gonna do before you can say, oh, there's a play calls I'm gonna make. Because if you're gonna try and change your offense up and you have CeeDee Lamb. You can tell me whatever you want to tell me, but that offense, it doesn't matter what you tell me, Mike. You're going to fail because there's not players.
And I would argue that the defense, you're going to miss out. You're going to be missing some crucial pieces on defense. Leighton Vander Esch, I don't know if they're going to re-sign him, but they're going to need another linebacker in there opposite of whoever, because Anthony Barr, I believe, is going to be a free agent as well. You know that Micah Parsons is your versatile chess piece. You don't want him pigeonholed to one position, and your ability to move him around, to hybridize him, is pretty much, it depends on your ability to find 2 linebackers who are serviceable, who can play at a high level at the off-ball linebacker position, so he doesn't have to play that position all the time. So you can move him to defensive end, you can move him around the formation. And right now, they don't have that either. Right now, he's got to play at the off-ball linebacker position because that's all they really have. So that's something they got to look at. And they also, on defense, they got to look at Donovan Wilson. Donovan Wilson was one of their leading tacklers and one of their better defenders, period, especially in the running game, and he is also a free agent. So the Cowboys got some questions they got to answer in free agency and also via the draft. And right now, Mike McCarthy, it's all on Big Mike because he will be calling the plays. And he says the most fun he's had since he's been with the Dallas Cowboys, now calling the plays instead of Kellen Moore. But also really complimentary of Kellen Moore, too.
There you go. By the way, 4.59 for DeMar Vion-Overshawn in the first run of the 40. 4.59.
That's good. That's good for DeMar Vion.
That's good. It's no Micah Parsons, but
no, he's. I don't think it's going to be freakish as long as he can confirm what we see on film, which is he can go sideline to sideline, and he's a guy that won't be at a disadvantage if he has to cover a tight end or running back side of the backfield.
Yeah,
and he got enough speed to do that. He'll run a faster 40 in the second one, and I think too, than he ran in the first one.
Yeah, and I believe the fastest so far is 4.57. So no one has blown it up yet on the linebackers.
Oh, that kid from Georgia, I bet will, right?
Which one?
I don't know his name. I can't think of his name right now, but the Georgia kid will. Well, I can say that about all the positions.
Just Georgia, they're going to do
the
well.
Georgia kid will do, Brad.
No, they will go. Yeah, they haven't put. Everybody hasn't gone yet.
That
but
freak from Georgia will do it. Which one?
Which one?
One of them.
I don't know.
One of them. Yeah. Okay, real quick, because I'll give you these Longhorns at the combine who have performed so far. Just the D lineman, as my man Patrick just told you. My man DeMar Vion-Overshawn, who measured in at 6'3", 229, 32 1/4 arm length, and hand size 9.5-inch hands. I think my hands might be as big as DeMar Vion-Overshawn's hands. Where were my hands? My hands were 9.5 inches. Boom. Me and DeMar Vion-Overshawn. He's 6'3", I'm 5'8". Same hand size as DeMar Vion-Overshawn. I'm not even going to tell y'all what that means. I'm just going to move on. Let's get into it. So here you go. My man, Keondre Coburn. He actually he did the 40-yard dash. He was good, but, I mean, he wasn't great by any stretch. And you don't need Keondre Coburn to be great in any of these 40s or any of these tests because he's going to be a power run-stuffing, gap-eating defender. And that's what they want from Keondre Coburn. So, I mean, his 40, it doesn't matter that much. Really, his bench press might matter. His 5'10", his first 10 yards, that might matter. But the Longhorn that really stood out and made himself some money was Moro Ojomo. So among D tackles, Moro Ojomo, in his vertical, he's second. This is among D tackles. 33-inch vertical has him second. His 10-yard split in his 40 has him sixth, 1.77 among D tackles. His 40-yard dash overall has him seventh, 5.04. Actually, Keondre Coburn was 11th. He's at a 5'2". Looks pretty good for a space-eating and kind of a gap-clogging defensive lineman like him, a wide body like my man Keondre Coburn. So Moro Ojomo, between the vertical leap and the broad jump, by the way, he's fourth among D tackles in the broad jump. So he's basically top 4 in broad jump, vertical jump, and he's top 7 if you look at it in the 10-yard split and the 40-yard dash. He made himself some money. And he's versatile. What I love about his game, Moro Ojomo's game, is that Moro Ojomo, he moved around the front a ton this year. They moved him around all over the place. He played on the edge, ended up playing. He played on the edge for 114 snaps, 244 snaps at the interior D-line. Played all over the place. And was graded by Pro Football Focus as a top 15 pass rusher and run defender. Man, he was only one of 5 interior D linemen in all of college football to be a top 15 graded pass rusher and run defender. So he just made himself a ton of money. And he's only 21. He's just 21. He's a baby still. Still a baby. Also, we'll get to DeMar Vion-Overshawn a little bit later because we'll get his other time. I'm sure that'll be coming up. We'll get you an update before we get out of here. We also got breaking news on the other side. So we'll bump our story. We're going to talk about KD's debut with the Suns. If we have time, we'll get into it. But there's a big story that is brewing on the 40 acres. Breaking news on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new theme Thursday. My man Patrick, the Idea, are playing jams, selection songs that are supposed to give us clues as to what the new theme of the day is. Pretty easy today. It was Texas, the great state of Texas. Songs that had the state of Texas in the title to celebrate Texas Independence Day. It's a beautiful thing. So thanks, my man Patrick, for always keeping us on our toes. You can always hit us up on the Specs text line 512-337-3776. And some of you already hitting me up, and I appreciate the heads up about the breaking news. And yes, I think it's probably bad breaking news. It ain't the good breaking kind for Longhorn fans anyway. Gary Patterson is stepping away as the special assistant to the head coach. A statement by Gary Patterson via our good friends over at Horns 24/7. So shout out to Horns 24/7 for breaking this story. He's basically just saying that he doesn't specify what he's stepping away for, but did say he's so appreciative of Coach Sarkisian, the players and the fans for his time at Texas this past year. He said, I loved my time in Austin. I jumped into that role right after leaving TCU, and I put off a lot of stuff foundation-wise because I wanted to be a sponge. I wanted to see how the coaches on the staff there who have been at places like Bama in Washington recruit, how they handle practice, how they handle things like NIL. I learned so much and have so much respect for guys like Pete Kwiatkowski, Jeff Choate, Bo Davis, and really, really enjoyed the players. Who knows? Maybe I'll get to August and I'll want to come back if Sark would have me. But for right now, hell yeah, he'll have you. But anyway, for right now, I feel like I need to take some time for my wife, kids, and grandkids while also looking to see if I can help college football on a larger scale. So there you go. It's a little scary. Not going to lie to you. A little scary considering the defensive improvement that we watched from year 1 to year 2 with Pete Kwiatkowski and with Jeff Choate and Bo Davis. And those guys obviously should be given a ton of credit for the defensive improvement. But in 2021, Texas had one of the worst defenses in the program's history in a lot of statistical categories. And in 2022, they had one of the best defenses in the country. Same coaches pretty much. A lot of the same players pretty much. One big difference. A couple other little differences, but one big difference. And Gary Patterson became the special assistant to the head coach, and we assume he had special attention paid to the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, that would seem like that. I will give the positive. The
Give it to
last team Gary Patterson left played for a national championship last year. Let's keep the train going, you guys.
Well, if that happens, Gary Patterson's going to be really depressed.
Yeah.
He leaves another.
Everyone's going to be calling him like, hey, you want to come in?
You want to come in, Gary? Please come to us, Gary Patterson, and leave after the first year. But points allowed per game, so scoring defense for Texas went from 99th to 29th. Pretty good. If you go look at yards per game, so total defense went from 100 to 51st. Well, not a useful statistic, really, but that's still a damn good one. Yards per play went from 102nd to 19th. Yeah. Points per play went from 93rd to 11th. And the ratio of punts forced to scores allowed increased massively from 101st in the country to number 20. So you basically became a top 20, top 30 defense in the country when you were a bottom 30 defense in the country in 2021. So when you went from bottom 20 to bottom 30 in 2021 as a defense to top 20, top 30 in 2022. So, yeah, I'm going to assume that a big part of that was Gary Patterson, because I watched this defense, and they really did. They lacked football IQ. The structural integrity of the defense was constantly compromised, and they had very, very little situational awareness as a defense overall. And that they were totally different this year. Third down defense. Remember last year they were 102nd. Not last year, 2 years ago, 102nd. Now they were 79th this past season. Red zone scoring defense went from 90th to 16th. The red zone touchdown percentage defense went from 52nd to 20th. Like I said, and the rushing defense, they were one of the best rushing defenses in the country. Yards per rush went from 114th to 17th. Now, this is not all Gary Patterson. But schematically, a lot of it was Gary Patterson. Remember, I told you the biggest issue with PK in 2021. I kept repeating it over and over again. He miscalculated the conference. Like he didn't understand the culture of the Big 12. It was like he's like he did research on the Big 12 from 4 or 5 years ago and didn't do research on what the Big 12 had become. And he still thought the Big 12 like the rest of the college football does. Like it's a passing league. No. The Big 12 is a passing league. It basically is a running league cross-dressing as a passing league. That's the Big 12. It wants you to think it's a passing league. The formations, the personnel grouping. No, the Big 12 is a running league now. They want to run the football a ton. And he miscalculated that in 2021. He just didn't know the conference very well. Didn't realize the topography of the Big 12, if you would, the ecosystem of the Big 12. And I think Gary Patterson, who knows the ecosystem of the Big 12 probably better than anybody. He's been around this damn league for a decade plus. He knows this league really well and has mastered the league pretty much because he was doing a lot of the conceptual the conceptual ideas that have become popular in the Big 12 these days, especially defensively. Gary Patterson was doing those even before he got to the Big 12 when he was in the Mountain West Conference or whatever the hell it was. So that's why his presence on the 40 acres with those coaches, just explain to them the ecosystem of the Big 12, the culture of it. He had extensive scouting reports on every team. You know he did. He'd been in the league for 10 years, 10, 12. He knew how every coach operated, their process, what they like to do, their tendencies, weaknesses. He gave all that to Texas. And I can't take it all back. I'm sure they still have the knowledge. So they weren't calling the plays, but the preparation and the asset that he was to Texas for that preparation, that was huge. So I'm sure they learned a lot. Now they know the league a lot better, but it's still going to be an asset that you're losing in Gary Patterson on the defensive side of the ball. So that's the bad news.
It's unfortunate. Hopefully he taught them well enough that, they were able to learn from Gary Patterson. He said he learned a lot from them. Hopefully they learned from him. I'm just happy to still have consistency in the defensive coaching because that is something that has changed a whole lot from year to year. So we're going into year 3 with PK as the defensive coordinator. So hopefully that will continue to help the smaller things of, all right, now we can have guys coach the next group because they're not all learning together. Yeah. So the seniors can help the freshmen and the sophomores because they actually know the system as opposed to everybody walking in day one learning a new system.
Now, you're right about that. And give Sark credit, too, because there's a lot of pressure on Sark to make some big-time changes after 5 and 7 and after that disastrous first year. And Sark said, no, we just need some time. Those guys need time to acclimate to our coaching. The coaches need time to acclimate to the players and to the new culture and the new system. And you're right, that it played a huge role, just having some consistency in the message and the verbiage, the terminology, the teaching style, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully that is something that will continue. All right, we come back. We'll give you a DeMarvion Overshown update. He's running 40s and doing some of his testing. We'll give you an update on that. Then we'll wrap it up and put it in the oven right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Getting ready to wrap it up and put it in the oven. Before we do, we'll let you know what's on tap. If you missed any part of any of the shows, please go to hornfm.com. You can catch up with them on the podcast page. All right, so DeMarvion Overshown's 40 that right now is official on NFL.com has him clocked at 4.59, and that would be good for 5, 6, 7. I think he would be tied for 9th right now. I'm looking at it correctly.
In the first run of linebackers.
Yes, well, yeah, they're still currently going. They're still currently going. So right now, that has him. He's hovering around the top 10 fastest times for the 40 at linebacker. But he only ran once, and my man CB informs me that Overshown must have been good with the first 40 because he's not running the second 40.
But I just saw another drill, and I did not see him do that one either.
So I
don't know if he.
I hope he didn't. I'm not going to wood. Hope something didn't happen or he decided to pass up on the rest of the drills. But the 4.59 is good. That's exactly where he needs to be. I mean, he's right there. D. Winters, 4.57. The fastest time for the linebacker so far is 4.46. So as long as he's in that 4.5 range, I think he can run faster than 4.59. That's why I wonder if he did tweak something.
I don't know. Apparently he said he's good with it.
Okay, because if I don't see him performing some of these other drills, then I'm gonna wonder if he tweaks some. Because I think he's faster than 4.59. But DeMarvion Overshown getting ready to obviously not getting ready, but he is participating in the on-field test right now as we speak. All right, and the big news? We just broke the news. Shout out to Horns 24/7. Did a great job breaking news that Gary Patterson is stepping away as the special assistant to the head coach. Basically, just want to spend more time with his family, and he even brought up in the letter that he could come back next year. He's just trying to keep his options open. All right, what's on tap for you tonight, Patrick?
We're going to watch some basketball. We got Luka playing right now against the 76ers to see if the Mavs can break it against another good team and get a win tonight. And the Clippers are 0-3 with Russell Westbrook in the starting lineup playing tonight.
Has he been starting since he got there? He should have been coming off the bench.
He is 0-3 as a starter, including a 176-175 overtime loss.
Ooh. That's got to be some kind of
one of the highest scoring games of all time. I don't think it is the highest scoring, but it's one of. It's up there for one of.
We got to talk NBA tomorrow because I want to talk about KD's debut. We had a couple of breaking news stories with the Combine and with the Gary Patterson thing, so we couldn't get to the KD debut news. So we'll get to that tomorrow, and we'll talk some NBA with the talking about the Mavs a little bit too. I did some research, rabbit holing about the Mavs and Kyrie. You'll be surprised at how potent that duo actually is. Just can't seem to get the dubs. That's the complaint that Mike McCarthy has. He says he doesn't want potent offense anymore. He just wants wins. All right? He doesn't give a damn about those.
Man, Dallas has got problems.
Dallas has got problems. Yes, they do. Tonight, I'm watching the Combine. I'm going to go home, watch me some Combines. And I'm watching Law & Order. It's Law & Order Thursday. I'm still an old school guy. Like me some Law & Order, man.
Some Law & Order.
Hell yeah, man. I need some of that in my life. I want to thank my man Patrick for doing a great job. Thank you guys out there for listening. Remember, the revolution not be televised. We talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves. But more importantly, take care.